Most folks in Eberron live their lives hoping to survive and protect the ones they care about the most. A few do that and more, trying to help those around them, even the ones they don't know. But only one group does all that when no one else can. The King's Citadel. The ones who do the job no one else can do. Eleron, the Shield. A star-forged aegis whose strength lies in their shield, their armor, and their will to keep the Citadel and its mission safe. Merime, the Sword. A Kalashtar bard whose dreams have grown more troubled, the sight of her future grown more dim, but whose skill in battle, wisdom in counsel, and love for her sister and the Citadel has grown even stronger. Tantan, the Brain. A dragon-marked human artificer whose jovial demeanor conceals a deep curiosity, razor-sharp intellect, and long memory, with knowledge of what he did for the last war, and what he can or must do for the next one. Lysiana, the Heart. A dragon-marked halfling healer whose love for her sister is matched only by her desire to help and heal the members of the Citadel, even as the threats they face grow stronger and stranger, and even if she herself can't know where the next path might lead. Rowan, the Wild Card. A human wild magic sorcerer who's played a dangerous game for most of his life. Now he's gone all in to save his friends. But will he have the chips to pay if his bet is called? These 5 elite operatives came together to aid the salvage outpost of Salvation, where the Grey hovers nearby, a threat and a promise. With the Oracle of War, they found an artifact powerful enough to end a war, or begin one. They traveled to Sharn, City of Towers, and started to unravel the Oracle's mysteries while stopping assassination attempts from the Emerald Claw and the Nation of Thrain. They found Sky Blue, the daring thief somehow tied into the ancient draconic prophecy, and stopped the Claw operative Erulin Karnak before traveling back to Salvation and into the Grey to take down the repurposed Conclave outpost, repel a war-forged invasion, and take the fight to the Lord of Blade's secret fortress, Razorcrag. They found an elemental forge of great power and rescued both hostages from Salvation and the maker of the Oracle of War himself. But the cost, and Braelish soldiers and the mighty floating fortress Argonth taken by the Lord of Blades himself, was high. Now the King's Citadel must widen their world, traveling to the neighboring countries of Karnath, Thrain, and beyond. They've saved Salvation, navigated Sharn, and neutralized Razorcrag. But can they learn the Oracle's secrets, unmask the Emerald Claw, and stop a war? Only if they remember that in the end all they have is each other and the King's Citadel. Long live the King. Welcome to Eberron. Welcome to Corvair. Welcome to the world beyond Salvation. The crackling fire brings us into our session. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Arvanauts, to a Saturday night stream. It is January 20th, 2024. It's 8:45 p.m. Eastern, and I hope everyone is doing well and has had a pleasant Saturday. I had a very enjoyable Saturday indeed, as I was able to be a part of the party for my daughter's 16th birthday. My dear daughter, little Arv, who is the light of my life and is just an absolute joy. We had a wonderful time with a murder mystery party that she put together, and I'm happy to say that the murder mystery game that I played when I was a kid, it came to good use. It was a 40-year play, but it's still, we managed to get it to work again, and it was a great time with her friends. She had a wonderful time, and she's a great kid, and now she's 16, and so, my goodness, unbelievable. But it was a lot of fun, and I am now happy to be with all of you as we continue with day 49 of Dungeons & Dragons with Infinity and Beyond. This is Eberron Oracle of War. This is Season 4, Drums of War, and this is Part 1 of my Undying Heart. The reason that we're starting at 8:30, in fact, is because of that party, the aforementioned party that I mentioned. So we're still going to be trying to wrap at around 11, so this is going to be a shorter stream, right on a little over 2 hours, roughly speaking, today, 2-hour session. But I am excited to get this in as we continue to move forward with Part 11 of Oracle of War overall with my Undying Heart. Before we go any further, a couple of reminders about ways to support us. If you haven't done so, please follow the channel. Please check out our YouTube with !ArvTube, and if you're watching me over on the YouTube channel, welcome. And please consider checking out, heading over to our Twitch channel, where you can join us over there and do all the cool things on that channel. But subscribing to YouTube is free for you, but really does make a difference for us. So thank you for doing that as well. Hold on a second here. Yes, and in fact, Trifid, as you saw, I spoke about that online. There are huge issues with the administration of the Hugos right now and the opaqueness with which it's arranged. I won't get into that right now. I may speak about that at some point, either after the session tonight, maybe, or I might speak about it sometime next week. But yeah, it is enraging. It's completely unacceptable. I also have thoughts about why Worldcon where it was this year. And so, anyway, regardless, I am totally with you about that. 100% agree. It was, I feel very bad that those folks are dealing with that. So the YouTube channel that I mentioned before, Discord is !ArvCord, Twitter is !ArvTweets, Blue Sky, !ArvSky, website is arvaneleron.com. Financially, !ArvShop is our merchandise area, !ArvTreon is the Patreon. Those two things really do help support the channel, so please do consider doing that because it would really help us out, and also gives you cool stuff for yourself and various channel goals. So it's a win-win-win-win. It's a win for the channel, win for you, win for the different people in the channel as well. So all of that is helped by that support. And subbing to the channel or resubbing to it does the same kind of thing in terms of being helpful. So please consider doing that because that would really help us out too. And you get those also inspirations and custom sub badges to use on Twitch too with that, and inspirations with the Patreon as well. On the publishing side, !Icarus, my graphic novel from Athos Arts. !Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That is my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And the second adventure in that group, which is called Return to the Forbidden Library, is what we will be doing, returning to the library this coming Friday, January 26th. It's less than a week away now at the Klein Memorial Auditorium in Bridgeport, Connecticut. I'm very excited about this. It features players Brandon Crilly, Carlos Hernandez, C.S.E. Cooney, Zach Clay, and Madame Petrosino. 4 of those folks are the same. Brandon is the only one who's different this time, and they will be in front of a live audience watching that, and it's a free-to-attend event. It is sponsored by the Bridgeport Public Library. We will have a new video for that. We'll have music for that, all that kind of good stuff. And there will even be some stores ahead of time, so I'm very excited about that too. We'll have some stores and bookstores in the lobby. It's not a huge thing, but we'll have four or so of them that'll be selling some merchandise early on. So it's just a very cool event. And it's, listen, right now it's like 19 degrees outside and it's freaking cold as heck. It's going to get warmer next week, but still, Friday night, January 26th, what else are you going to do? Like, this is a cool thing to go to and be a part of. And so doors open at 5 p.m. Eastern. And then the event itself starts at 6 p.m., so I hope you will join us for that. I will be live streaming it as well, although I don't know what the live stream setup's going to be. I know that the Klein will be live streaming it, so that's one opportunity, but that's paid. And then you folks can also watch it live streamed myself, and I just don't know yet exactly how I'm doing that. We will see. I may or may not, depending on who comes, I may have someone else that I trust actually running the sort of live stream from the audience, as it were. So we will see how that goes. I haven't decided totally how we're going to do that, but I will figure it out by the time Friday rolls around. So I hope you will come to that. And that second adventure, Return to the Forbidden Library, which is the sequel to last year's, you can find that in that !Library link. !Grayshade is my is my Grey Assassin Trilogy universe. First 2 books in the series, Grey Shade and Renegade, are out already, as is the Grey Shade audiobook from our very own Trent Sparks. And the tabletop role-playing game by Brandon O'Brien and Alligator Alley Entertainment will be out late this year. So you can pre-order that now, and you can also pre-order the final book in the Grey Assassin Trilogy, Heretic, which I'm working on now. That will be out in the summer of this year. So definitely want to jump on board and pre-order those things. Pre-orders are love, pre-orders are life. And you can also order the books that are already out. So I hope you will consider doing all of that cool stuff. And last but certainly not least, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter, important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Exclamation point Help Now, the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help and reach out to others when they need help as well. And exclamation point Ukraine, UKRAINE, to help the people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message we will do so for others in the future. Now, quick note, which is that we're doing, of course, Eberron tonight. Then I'll be off Sunday, Monday. On Tuesday at noon Eastern, we will have the final vote for that link, so you should go and get that vote in right now. That is the Patreon-fueled Chat Chosen Game of the Month. Right now, Chents of Senar is ahead with 3 votes, Metal Gear Solid 2 with 2 votes, Champions of Kryn, which is a gold box D&D game, that is 1 vote, so you folks should get your votes in now. That's going to be closing as of that Tuesday. But the thing that we'll be playing on Tuesday is going to be more Dungeon Siege, because we finished Highland Song. It was a very short game. I enjoyed playing it, but it was short, and so we're going to be doing some Dungeon Siege on Tuesday, and then at 4:15 p.m. Eastern, I will be over with the crew with some D&D with GOG, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and Pen and Pixels, and then we'll be, so that'll be the deal with that. Wednesday is the premiere of Community D&D with the inestimable Shadowed Mage as your DM, as Waterdeep Dragon Heist is played for the incredible crew, the Shadow crew of Echo Alpha X5 and Drew the Damager, and Hoodie, also known as OMG a Truck, and Tilted One Gaming and Yoi Gawain Lin. That crew is going to be beginning with a new adventure Wednesday night, so I'm very excited for that premiere. And then I will be back Thursday night with some, I believe we have D&D with viewers coming up on that Thursday. And then Friday, as I said, the live event from the Klein. Saturday will be Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks, and that will get us all set leading into the final Tuesday, which will be next Tuesday, so a week from this Tuesday. So we got a bunch of stuff going on. It's very exciting and all that stuff, and I hope you folks will be here with me for that. Now, with all of that said, I am going to unmute myself and let the folks know we are ready to go, and then I am going to unmute them so they can respond whenever I get over there. And then last but certainly not least, I head over to reveal the incredible crew, which is here again. Can I just mention that, again, this wonderful crew, which has been consistently here all the sessions, which is really great to see. And that's despite the fact that at least some of us are concerned about the, other things relating to the throwing of a oblong, ball through the air towards other people that are trying to catch it. But despite that, we have all arrived together here as one. So I will start with the person on the bottom left of the ziggurat who's super interested in what I just described. And that, of course, is Trent Sparks, who is repping. I have my old, underneath this shirt, which I needed to have on for the murder mystery, I'm repping the old Infinity and Beyond shirt. The other one is currently in the laundry. But Trent is repping the best bad idea we've ever had, Eberron King Citadel crew. So thank you, Trent, for doing that.
Oh, this old thing?
Yeah, that old thing.
It was just something I had laying
that I decided to throw on, just
well, I thought my understanding was that we were all at some point going to do a reveal with all of us wearing it. And
that's what I would like to do. I need to set that up ahead of time and have us.
But I think all of us, I think each of us has worn them individually.
I think that's true.
By this point, so I'm like, all right, fuck it, it's my turn.
How have you been, Trent? How's life in the universe with you?
Right. How you playing? My problem is, I don't know if it's going to come through on the camera here, but this light colored patch right here.
Yeah.
It's been sitting under my windowsill, and I think it got sun bleached
in
this.
Oh no! Oh my God!
Like, you're gonna have to take it and just hang it up in the sun so the whole thing gets sun bleached.
And tape over this part so it doesn't,
just a big black piece of construction paper will look super pro. Right. Okay.
Absolutely. Anyway, I'm Trent Sparks. I'm a voice actor, and apparently like unbelievably busy audiobook narrator on one book.
On one book.
You know,
The single book.
So the book that I've been talking about every time that we go live with the thing, and the one that I will put the link in chat right now, right now is
I don't know. Do you want to do that? Like maybe you do that, and all of a sudden the gods of fate are like, "Oh, really? Kapow!"
Well,
here.
Too late now.
Okay, that's true.
Anyway,
yeah.
So apparently, depending upon what site you purchase it from, they concatenate their files at different lengths, or maybe somebody's one of the people who was publishing it to the site, their internet hiccuped and the file cut off. We don't know what happened, but like one of the stories that I was narrating cuts off at like 22 minutes instead of the full 29. So we're fixing that, and it's all coming together. But then I got another request from the guy who basically hired me to do the thing, saying, hey, so apparently this other site, you know, if the files are too long, they break them up into smaller segments. So I need you to record some more stuff. It was just like 4 words, so it's not really a big deal. But it's like, I thought I was done. Make it stop.
You cut to the trend being like every time I try to get out, they pull me back in, you know,
Exactly.
like every time.
Exactly. But I'm sure that will not happen with anything John ever asks me to narrate.
No,
Of course not.
No, definitely. One and done. That's one take trend. That's what they call you. Like just one, you know, like.
Yeah. So I'm playing this guy who's a little bit, you know, upset.
A little
right
verklempt,
now.
just a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a touch. His name is Miatentin Tagashaw of the House of Cannith, the House of Making. He is a dragon-marked human, so whenever he does his works, these big dragon tattoos on his arms start flaring, and yeah, he's real happy to be who he is right now, and where he is right now. It's just awesome. And he has a mechano good boy named Spanner, who is just sort of standing there.
Yep, just hanging out. Yeah, I'm going to be very interested. We're going to be starting right in the midst of that, actually. So that's going to be awesome. It's always a pleasure to have Trent with us. Just quick note, thank you, Arendt, for the Prime sub. 45 months of support. Thank you. It's good to see you, Arendt. I hope all is well. I hope you're staying warm out there in the frigid Midwestern vibes and all that. He's fine. But thank you, Arendt. I appreciate it. Always a pleasure to have Trent with us, and also a pleasure to have the amazing Marie Bilodeau with us. Good to see you, Marie. How is life in the universe with you and everything? Is it 700 degrees below zero? Because it's cold where I am, so it's like normal cold for Canada, more cold for Canada.
700 Celsius, or
I think it's normal cold now.
Okay.
For my region, which is around minus 30 Celsius, whatever that is in Fahrenheit.
That's minus 800. I just want to be clear.
Thereabouts. But we don't have a frostbite advisory yet where they're like, you know, your eyeballs will freeze in 2 minutes. We don't have one of those yet. So it doesn't feel like we're like in the deep depths of winter yet. But we did get quite a few good snowstorms, though.
Okay.
So that's been fun. But there's also been exciting developments in my house.
Okay. Here we go.
Wow, the trust.
Well, I mean, you didn't say anything in the green room, so it's got to come out now.
Yeah, exactly.
And she's not wearing a helmet, so there is that.
There is that, yes.
Someday I'll come up with some actual serious Daniel. I'll be like, what?
No, I'll be like,
Who
wow.
are you? What have you done with Marie?
Yeah.
Are you okay? Last weekend was Carrie's aunt's birthday, her 79th birthday. So we brought the whole family here, which is a very small family, and we went to get them because there was a snowstorm and we like driving in the snow. But the important thing here, and I want to be clear that like I do contribute. So I made a bacon barley risotto.
Oh,
and Carrie made for dessert a Black Forest cake. And my contribution to that was both picking the cherry much earlier in the last year.
Okay.
And then were the last cherries from our cherry tree that got killed by ice last year. And also I went and got a cherry liqueur and made sure to test it. So like, I want to make it clear that I contribute a lot.
No, I mean, that's hugely important. Listen, you're QA for this, really,
Yeah.
Marie, and that's yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
I ate a lot of that cake because like we're only 5 altogether. So like there's a big cake, You know, like I worked hard. Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thank you for coming to your TED Talk.
My TED Talk, yeah.
I noticed you didn't ever tell them about how you got stuck in the bathroom in
Me?
your house. Yeah, you never told that story.
No.
Well, next time.
She's like,
And she's
no.
not going to now either.
No, you're right. I haven't actually. And I want you to know, Marie, that I am immune to your stories of cake insofar as I recently finished ice cream cake from my daughter's 16th birthday. So I am immune
Yay!
to
Happy
this
birthday.
attack.
Don't worry. Next week I'll get you. Next
Yeah,
time
you'll
I'll
get me
you.
next time. Yeah, it's true. My
It'll be
my
extra
daughter
hard.
only has a birthday once a year. I can't. It's keep up, you know. Like,
Wait, what's your favorite type of dessert again?
my favorite,
Don't
Raisin pie.
Don't do it.
no,
Do it.
raisin
Do it.
pie. No, it's either dulce de leche ice cream or I do really like either chocolate cake or chocolate cream pie. I do enjoy those things. And if you're about to tell me, like, Carrie made 3 chocolate cream pies in her sleep yesterday. She was.
No, I think it's more that she might be driving to a convention that we're all going to be at.
And I mean, what are you thinking? This is like, hey, Marie, I just loaded this gun. Here, handle this. You know?
No, what Jen said and what you said are very different. If what ends up happening is that I end up getting something like this miraculously, which didn't even cross my mind, that's one thing. Maybe I've handed her a pie making gun or something. I don't know.
What I gotta say is I appreciate the trust, Greg, and
Yeah,
I will
okay.
remember that in your darkest hours.
My darkest hour. Oh, I'll need it,
I
probably.
will remember that you like chocolate cream pie a lot.
She will tell you about all the ones that have been made that you don't get to enjoy.
I will FaceTime you so that you can enjoy me watching it,
Yeah.
eating it, because I'm here for you.
Oh, that'll be great. That'll be great.
See? This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's great. Maria and I are not going to be working on anything together in the not that distant future either, so it's great. It'll be fine. It's all good.
I'm not invited to the campaign anymore. May still is, but I'm not.
Speaking of the campaign, who are you playing when not torturing me with food?
I am like, wait, I'm busy now. I'm playing Mirime Hawksmoor. I am a sword-wielding bard, so College of Swords. I'm having a good time. Well, you know, things have been a bit rough lately, but I think it's getting towards positive things because I think last time Greg said that we were going to head to the spa and it was going to be really relaxing up to level 15 at least. So I'm really excited, traveling with my friends, going to get some new haircuts with everyone, including my sister. Everyone's going to have ribbons. It's going to be good. So thank you.
I see. You know, the spa in the morning is definitely in the gray. That's a different spa.
Morning, maybe.
I mean,
Well,
do we
it's
ever
pronounced-
really leave
it's
it? Is the
pronounced
question.
and
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
magma elemental.
Exactly.
You know,
Oh my
I thought
God.
Eberron just generally was kind of a negative vibe right now, so I thought we'd
Just
leave
where
that
you,
for
I
a
mean,
bit.
listen, just you know, just where you are. We are a long way from the ribbon stores of Sharn, aren't we? We've come some distance. It's a pleasure to have Marie with us, as always. It is also, of course, a pleasure to have Brandon O'Brien with us, who I have been speaking to a great deal as of late. We spoke just 2 days ago? Yesterday, my goodness. Just about a bunch of Gray Shade tabletop stuff, which is going to be amazing, and I can't wait. And also about all the other stuff that Brandon is working on creatively, some of which I know, and some of which I am not at liberty to share with the rest of you. But in between those things, when not doing awesome stuff, Brandon is kind enough to share some time with us here. So, Brandon, how have you been? How's life in the universe since I spoke to you yesterday? And who are you playing this evening?
Yeah, you know what I discovered the other day? I don't know how writers write, you know. I don't know how folks do it. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how you get the words out of your brain, out of up here, and actually make them like physically exist. Do I actually have to start like shaking them out of my skull?
What Trent is saying is true. See, this is like, how do you explain this then, Brandon? Like,
I still don't know, Trent. I discovered that of all of the random apps that I keep telling folks that I've put on my phone, I now have 3 separate Pomodoro timers on my phone now. And I'm discovering that they're not helping. They're just making me feel more shame.
oh no.
So yeah, I've been fighting with the words for the last 4 days.
Oh.
I have an excerpt my excerpt for Tin House is due on Monday.
You can do it.
6,000 words exist. They're not the 6,000 words that I want people to look at. So, immediately after this game is done, I am gonna be wrestling with the angels until Sunday night. So we can see how that goes. And it's weird to have this conversation with you, given that when we spoke on Monday, not only were we having lots of very remarkably erudite conversations about Greyshade that were seeming to flow very easily and effortlessly, to the point where I mentioned two notable parts of the world of Corel, and you were like, these things that you described are very cool. The names that you're using are names from a Greyshade short story that you haven't read. Why do you know those names?
Yeah, that's right. That's totally true. I was like, how do you, because it was weird because it was not, it's like not, it wasn't, the thing that was being used was not relevant, was not the same thing as what is shown in the story. So I'm just like, how did you,
and I was like, this name is in my notebook. Did you tell me the thing?
I don't remember.
And then you just forgot to share the actual, so that was delightful.
Yeah.
All of this to say, sometimes I feel very productive, and then I sit down to do the thing that I want to do, and it's like squeezing water out of a stone.
Yeah.
So I'm trying my very best. Pray for our brethren, please.
You'll get there.
Yes. I will get there, I just kind of want to get there tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like that's it. Hi, I'm Brandon. As you can see, Brandon is struggling. Hopefully, the guy that Brandon is playing, Rowan Shallow, is not struggling. Rowan Shallow being the charlatan sorcerer of this crew, who was very popular very earlier in the day of action that is about to be this session, and is hoping that stops, because that was very awkward and off-putting. So yeah,
it's gonna be good times. Yes, there was a lot of focus on. Hey, Rowan, let's talk to you about. Have we spoken about this trauma, Rowan? How about this trauma? So
yeah, Rowan, how do you feel about all of the very bad things that have happened in the last 6 hours? Like, bad enough to not have to talk about it, and yet we're here.
Yes. Well, to be continued.
I didn't
Dren.
talk to you about that.
Yep. I cannot wait to see how that all breaks down. It's awesome to have Brandon with us as always. I look forward to seeing how Rowan somehow gets out of the spotlight or attempts to. And that's going to move us on up to the amazing and awesome Jennifer Brozek. It's good to see you, Jen. I hope all is well with you also. Do you have any, like immediate baking stories that you would also like to share that I'm not aware of right now?
Well,
or
my
anything
husband and I sit down every Saturday morning and plan the meal prep that he's going to do tomorrow, and it includes homemade burger patties that have Parmesan cheese and bacon in it, and we got out a fresh pork butt, I think it is, with skin cap on, and he's going to do some sort of grill thing, smoke. I don't know. It tastes good, but I do not know the wizardry of it.
I see. But you know enough but to consume it is what matters. Like, I mean,
I will be, because he started doing the meal prep of the burgers, and a 3-ounce burger, a little bit of cheese every day, and I don't have to do anything but warm it up. I am a lucky woman.
That's pretty cool. How are things with you and who you're playing today, Jen?
Well, last week we had record-breaking cold, and my friend Shannon had a burst pipe that we had to run over to her house and help with the emergency. And now we're suddenly back into it's currently 42 degrees right now, which is 5.5 in Celsius, which is actually too warm for this time of the year. So
yeah,
we're schizophrenic, I think, is where we are. Otherwise, me personally, I am in novel mode. In fact, I am moving into deadline mode. And Brandon, I have some hints on getting words out of you. Like, I do this thing, Zoom co-working. We literally put Zoom up, and we don't really talk to each other except once every half an hour to see how we did. And then we set the timer and go again.
This was a thing that used to be very helpful to me in the past. Our strange friends, who Greg knows very well from Speculate, would do this like once a month. But then it became very difficult to schedule because everyone other than me has a day job.
I was going to
Well, why
drop you a
don't
line on that
you-
too, Brandon, because tomorrow I'm also in the midst of finishing up Deadline for Heretic. So
If you want, I'll set up some sort of Zoom because I have many words to get to
Yeah.
my rough draft done. So in the next 2 weeks, the pre-order for the Mosaic Run auditions will come out. I'm in the end of writing the next book in that series. Well, okay, I'm in the middle. I need to be at the end by the end of next month. And I'm also in the middle of, or towards the end of a mini Buffy RPG that's being recorded right now, a mini series that will go live on Shadows of Nox in February 13th that I will share with everybody. Other than that, I have basically done everything I can possible to clear my plate, so all I can do is focus on this. But I also have I have things other than writing to do. But I'm getting into that novel brain where you don't quite remember, what are your cats' names, what are your kids' names, where am I, what day of the week is it?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm moving into right now. Otherwise I'm feeling pretty good. Just, also, I was like, what else do I need to say? I am playing Nisiana Di Jurasco, the halfling healer of the House of Healing, favorite pincushion of the Emerald Claw.
That's true.
And unfortunately, the moment she's dragon marked, her swirling dragons that come out from like a circlet come out in like a 10-foot circlet and stick around for like 10 minutes because, we're
She's fun to
getting up
be
there in
around.
levels. And I was like, here, shoot me now. I'm right here.
Yeah, yelling out, "Guess where the healer is?"
Yes.
Yep.
And she just got off the same thing that traumatized poor Mia Tanton, but she was looking at it in wonder, and then fortunately she did not in fact say the thing that she thought she was going to say because he kind of had a breakdown. So we shall see what happens there.
Yep, it's going to be interesting to see how that all breaks down, so to speak, and hopefully picks back up and not just breaks down in just a minute. But it's a pleasure to have Jen with us as always, and it is also, of course, a pleasure to have with us the person who has sacrificed his Packers watching time. Although I do have to note, now wait a minute, let me not speak out of school, that as we speak, the Packers are trailing 7-6, so it's a very close game, which means by the rule of sports law that they are staying close so long as you play Dungeons and Dragons with us, John. So I think that's really what's pushing them over the top, is not their quarterback play. It's really your D&D play that's really pulling this through.
Go.
So
I can only hope.
how are you feeling about things in general, John? How are you, and who are you playing tonight?
Well, when I was sneaking away while you were doing the intro and stuff, I saw they apparently dominated the Niners in the first quarter, but still didn't come away with the points because they're having trouble getting to the end zone.
Oh.
But 6-7. Look, the season is great no matter what. We have our franchise quarterback. We once again owned the Bears and the Cowboys. Always a pleasure. And the next 15 years, the NFC North is gonna have to suck it again. Let's see. Since we all talked about weather. Right now it is -2 degrees here. That's only Fahrenheit, though, not the ungodly Celsius of -8 gazillion in Canada. But we have a wind chill advisory until like noon tomorrow or something like that. So, yeah. And then finally our cold snap breaks and starts getting back into the 30s by Monday. So I'm looking forward to that because we've literally stayed like the entire week inside. But yeah, things are good. It's January and things are moving. We're moving along. You've got things moving along. I've got things moving along. Everyone has things moving along. Incredible. Except for Trent, who's moving backwards in his thing.
Yeah.
But he and I have to talk at some point. I have to kind of map out, I have to map out his year too, because I got to find out where he's at with things and what's going on and all that.
California.
In terms of your work projects.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that
the
gonna-
little,
I know where
yeah,
you are.
the little sigh though is so appropriate for people who have known Trent for quite a while. They're just kind of like, no, I speak here of this.
No. Yes, and then we're still stuck in this abominable carnival. going to be interesting since we're apparently staying the night here, which is going to be even more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I am playing Ilarion, a Starforged Aegis, which has been a great lot of fun playing with these folks, all of them, and I look forward to seeing what happens this evening.
Well, and let us get right to it
Quick-
then.
Quick.
Yes.
You mentioned that playing D&D is what's making all of the sports stuff for him work.
Yeah, it seems logical to me. I see a total link. Yeah.
I take issue with that because as often as I have played D&D, the Sharks have never won the Stanley Cup. So,
Well,
It doesn't work. It doesn't work for hockey.
It doesn't.
That's not America's sport, sir.
Oh, wow. I mean, listen.
Don't you say that in the Seattle area with the Kraken?
Yeah, Kraken, which still
my
is the
God.
greatest. That's true. Which is as close to a D&D mascot, incidentally, as you're likely to get. Like, I mean, other than
True.
I know there are
And-
things called the dragons, but I mean, this thing literally has a projected Kraken on the ice. Like, it's
Yep.
pretty, pretty baller.
All I
And
have
they're-
to say.
Go ahead.
All I have to say about this sports ball business is that in the August to September season, the Caribbean Premier League 2020 cricket will start. And I hope to God that still works, because that and the World Cup are the only sports that I care about. So I'm going to judge you very harshly about this in the future.
Yeah.
Right.
No, believe me, I'm telling you, it's like World Cup for sure. I mean, like where is greater superstition associated than
And I've actually watched several minutes of cricket at a time. So there you go.
yeah.
Cricket is superior to all of the other sports that have been mentioned here. I'm just going to say.
and if you guys ever play, because I won't be playing, John, you get to be the stumps. So
Get to be the what?
you get to be the stumps. See, Brandon got it.
I don't even know what the hell you're talking
Yeah,
It's a cricket term, and I only know because I watch a lot of old British mysteries that involve
Oh,
cricket.
wow.
stuff.
All I'm going to tell you, John, is you don't want to be the stumps.
you don't want to be this.
I have
I don't think anyone wants to be a stump.
I've tried to
There are
learn
people.
cricket. I understand a lot of different sports. The cricket, wow, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Maybe
A lot
maybe you'll
about
have to
cricket is like purposefully obtuse.
Ah,
I feel like that's the
okay.
goal.
The closest parallel, John, would be being the pin in a game of horseshoes.
Oh,
That doesn't sound good at all.
See? Okay, go ahead.
That's fair enough. I have to make.
All right.
Don't show the cricket game he was planning on adding today. Anyway, but it is
Or add the whole series, GM writes down.
there you go, Light and Passion. Be the wicket keeper. We'll have a great view of the stumps. Yeah, absolutely. It is a great pleasure to be with this crew, and let's get rolling. In our last session, as I fire up a little bit of music here, let's go with some Lonesome West. In our past session, the King's Citadel, having at the end of season 3 had a disastrous betrayal and having lost the flying fortress of Argonth, having managed to save the Oracle of War, but having gotten the unwelcome news that apparently another oracle called the Oracle of Bones has been created, with the express purpose of making the Lord of Blades essentially invincible. And that's great because we already got a taste of what the Lord of Blades is like pre-invincibility, so that's wonderful. So the King's Citadel had all of that to deal with, not to mention the loss of a number of good braveless soldiers, good people. So they were left kind of on their own to trudge slowly back towards salvation through the gray. In the midst of that trek backwards, the party dealing with a great deal of things relating to trauma and loss, Rowan Shallow being deeply upset at characters like Gehenna and Gehenna's role in the preserving of the elemental forge and the, enslaving, essentially, as Rowan sees it, of elementals to power these contraptions. So there was that. There is the trauma, of course, that and the experience that Merimee has had, having had loss before, but seeing other soldiers lost again, and how much this is in accordance with the prophecy and the Kalashtar dreams that Merimee has been privy to. Nisiana, who's seen a lot of stuff over the last week, 2 weeks plus, in terms of the amount of healing suffering and death that she has had to contend with to keep people alive. Elarion, who, despite the strength of their shield and the strength of their armor, increasingly feels as if in some ways they are, how much can they protect? How many people can they save? How many people can they, stop from, running roughshod over the rest of people that are worth saving? And of course, Tanton, who in the experience of being from the House of Cannith, the House of Making, has now had the opportunity to see several examples of what happens when his inventions or ones that he worked on have either been perverted from their original purpose or, perhaps worse, have been used for exactly their purpose but used against others. And Tanton had a chance to see this when, as the party was making its way back through the gray, they came across this strange broken down carnival. The carnival tents were knocked down, the stands and everything were gone. Nobody is alive there. This is just a deserted place. And the only thing that was running is a perfectly functional carousel in the midst of this carnival. The members of the King's Citadel, I know that Nisiana and Tanton and Rowan, I don't remember if Marimé rode it. I don't think so. Okay. You're muted, Marie.
I was having an eye at everything, all the tents and all that with Hilar.
Right, that's what I thought. Off with Hilar. So basically it was Nisiana and Tanton and Rowan. The problem is that when Rowan got on there to ride this thing, Rowan saw the carnival as it might have originally been, with children and families enjoying themselves and people on rides and people, playing games at the stands and, eating good food and all that. And then seeing the onrushing gray mist as the morning approached, and hearing the horrific screams and the losses of the people. That was obviously devastating for Rowan to have to watch. It was the fall of Seer, but it was not as devastating as it would be to Mia Tanton de Cannith of the House Cannith, who, of course, is from Seer and had never seen this experience, was not there when it happened, but knows what it's like now, and has had a chance to see it for himself. And as we ended our last session, the party had just seen, and I think everyone, I'm not sure, I think Marimé was making her way back with Hilar, but certainly the other Nisiana, Larian, Rowan, and the NPCs with you all had a chance to see as Tanton, and I want to make sure that I get this correct, came off of the carousel sort of screaming and sobbing in horror, and then fell to the ground. And it was, I believe, at that point that we brought the session to a close. And so that is where we are going to pick up, with Tanton just sort of sobbing there on the ground, Spanner standing motionless, and the rest of you seeing Tanton in this state. What would the party like to do?
I immediately run towards Tanton.
As do I.
Okay.
I assume Nisiana's doing the same, but I'm not really sure if that'll call for her.
She's actually moving a little slower than everybody else because she is processing what she saw and the death, and she just recently learned that he is from Seer, and her first thought was it was so beautiful. And she's processing what happened so that when everybody starts asking her what the hell happened, she can actually answer.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Arv, don't forget, she also got the message.
Yes, it's in the chat.
That's right. Yes. There was also the message that was received. That's correct. Which was, yes. Right. The message that was sent originally was, Argonth traveled north to assault Razorcrag, Lord of Blade's fortress. It was ambushed, Razorcrag destroyed, Argonth taken by the enemy, Tyresh KIA, entire force lost. And the reply, which Nisiana, thanks for the reminder, just got as Nisiana was getting off this, was, Authorities notified, Sharn and Chaos at news, new line of draconic prophecy revealed, Institute of 12 sending ship for you, has, and that should be has/wants, information on, that's not you, that was me, I couldn't fit it in, has/wants information on Oracle. So Nisiana just got that message back as Tantin is sobbing on the ground. So yes, so Rowan and Ilarion are moving quickly towards Tantin. You folks are able to get there, obviously. He's just on the ground. What about you, Mermaid, by the way?
Do I hear him?
I would think so.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine.
I'm gonna head
Shrieked
back.
when he,
Yeah, I'm gonna head back quickly
Okay.
and keep an eye out for anybody attacking, just in case. Like it's
That's
an attack
kind
or
of-
something, yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of standing guard as well because A, this isn't really my forte, and B, Rowan's there, Tiana's nearby. I'm going to leave it to the ones probably more able to handle this.
Okay.
But I will be kind of protector mode over everybody.
Okay.
It's very obvious to, like, if specifically Nisiana or Mermaid were to notice, they would notice that I'm like, I have no idea what is actually happening here. But I put my hands on Tantin's shoulders and go, friend, are you all right?
You're muted, Chun. I think.
No, he's not.
No,
He's
no,
just
I
not
just
talking.
wasn't-
Yeah. Okay.
I
He's
wasn't-
emoting.
Oh, sorry. I beg your pardon.
No,
Acting!
Sorry.
words.
Don't take me away from my moment. Jeez. Sorry.
He to say that he's sobbing is not nearly impactful enough. I've been trying to think of the best word for what he is. It's like when somebody goes so far into trauma that they go just catatonic, and then they keep going so they come out the other side and they're just, crazed with grief, whatever it is. That's it. And he's just literally inconsolable. He's just laying there, whatever the most intense word for sobbing you can think of. So he does not doesn't respond at all.
And
to
then what
contact.
Nisiana will say is, let him grieve. And then she looks at her sister for the connection so that she can repeat the message because she doesn't want to forget it.
Okay. And we'll memorize.
So
will-
she repeats it twice to you because she knows you can remember it, but
Mhm.
everybody watching can see her mouth moving. And Rowan, you can read lips, but you may not be focused on her lips. You may be focused on your friend. But that's all she said to you is let him grieve.
I turn back to Tantin, like, still very awkwardly, but obviously very empathetically,
There,
and just kind of
there.
like, I take your hands in my hands and just kind of stand there with you.
Okay.
And then I will, once I'm sure that Mary May has the message and I don't have to focus so hard keeping it in my head, I will say to, I'll just basically say we saw Seer before and then the fall.
I didn't know. I figured it was before, but I didn't know.
This is what he's lost. You know now, you've seen it. And it was so pretty.
It was a magnificent land.
And she'll go over to Mia Tantin's side and just kind of put a hand on a shoulder and just leave it there. Not saying anything to him, letting him process, but letting him know there's somebody there physically, just like Rowan is. And then she looks at Marie, and Mariman says, the message. You've got to tell them.
Okay. And Merime doesn't really know what's going on because she didn't see anybody get on the ride even. Like, she didn't see any of that. But she's seen soldiers break down before. So, you know, she is sending little, like, calming love waves to you, Tren. Much like she used on the fire elemental who tried to run her over. So, you know, of dubious effectiveness, perhaps.
Hilar at this point has come up, and Hilar says, is kind of looking over and sort of just looks at Tanton, and then, does anyone know what happened?
And I won't put the onus on anyone actually answering that, and I'll just relay the message to everyone here that Nisiana shared with me and said we received a message. And then I'll just kind of ping Hilar and say this was his home, from what I'm understanding.
And Hilar sort of like nods slowly, and says, I'm sorry to hear that. I knew where he was from, but seeing it in person, he just shakes his head and he says, it changes everything about how you see the world around you, for sure. And he he goes up and sees, Rowan holding Tanton's hand. He sees Nisiana, and he just briefly puts a hand on Tanton's shoulder. And then he turns and he steps away, and he says, he leaves, unless Nisiana is going to immediately follow, he would probably leave Nisiana there, and he says, Ilarion, Merime, we need to talk briefly.
I'll ping Nisiana and say, I'm going to tell you everything. Don't you worry.
Yeah, he's not leaving you behind, Nisiana. Like, he's not cutting you out. I think it's more that he's
Right.
just trying to, like, you seem to be dealing with Tanton immediately, so.
The other thing she tells Mariman is like, no, make him understand. We literally saw Seer, and then we saw the mourn happen.
Oh.
We
Merime didn't know that either.
saw it on the carousel.
Okay.
That is what is within the carousel.
Marie, can't she transmit images? If she's seen something, can't she transmit that to you through the link?
No,
No, we
not
can't
to
do
my
that?
understanding. I believe
Okay.
it's only words.
Yeah.
All right.
Let me see. And Greg's been generous with his interpretation already by letting me emote through it. So
Yeah.
And this might be impetus for my next feat to actually be telepathy, because,
Yeah.
All right. I couldn't remember.
I'll check. But
Okay, we'll make it clear. Everyone go through it.
I have it in my thing. Mind link. I can speak telepathically.
Yeah.
I don't need to share a language for it to understand your telepathic utterances, but they have to understand at least one language.
Yeah, they're not images the same way.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm very descriptive, though. Very descriptive.
Yeah. It's not a
We
direct
saw.
not a direct scan. I'll Bluetooth it to you. Okay, so Hilar steps a few, moves a somewhat short distance, but enough of a distance away. And specifically asked for Merime and Ilarion, but again, Nisiana is not shutting you out if you want to go. He's leaving Rowan behind, who's holding Tanton's hand, obviously leaving Tanton. So you can come if you wish, Nisiana, but I didn't know if you were staying.
No, I'm gonna look at Rowan and see if he's got any idea. He's known Mia Tanton longer than I have. Any way we can help. I mean, I know he needs to grieve, but basically, now what?
And it should
Tanton
also
will
be
tell
noted-
us.
It should also be noted that you guys know that Spanner will stand there and guard Tanton if you guys want to move off and talk to.
Yeah,
rest.
but no.
I know. I'm just saying. you know that Spanner is programmed to do that.
I understand that Spanner is programmed to do that. However, you are in no state to be by yourself.
Yep.
Okay, so then Hilar having stepped aside, and I will mention that Garena and Solring and Mother Johanna are all watching, although Mother Johanna definitely also has taken a few steps forward and seems to be kind of, you can almost imagine her sort of searching her mind for the right elements of comfort to deliver, since obviously Mother Johanna has seen her own fair bit of trying to comfort the traumatized, and so is thinking about that. But Hilar takes Merime and Ilarion aside and says, we obviously need to deal with what has happened to Tantan here over the course of the next days and probably weeks. This is not a short thing. But in the short term, we don't have a lot of extra time. If what's been described, what you said that messages that came through, then it means we're going to be heading out of the country soon enough. What do you all know about the Institute of the 12?
I don't know, Arv. What do we know about the Institute of the 12?
So
They're from Karnath. I remember that much, which isn't great.
they are from Karnath, and he sort of nods and he says, and I've pulled up a map for us all to look at. He says, the Institute of the 12 is sponsored by the dragon-marked houses, and it was one of the things that it existed before the war, before the last war, and has stayed in place since then. It's supposed to be, at least hypothetically anyway, above the political machinations of the various nations. It's designed to be able to understand knowledge, to be able to provide some understanding of things like the Draconic Prophecy. In fact, it was designed to try to prevent something like the last war from happening again, or at least that's how it changed into that once the last war had happened. The trip there, or the journey there, should be reasonably safe if the peace that we have after the last war has stayed in place. And the analogy that I gave last time, which I want to give again, is the United Nations is hosted in New York City, but is not, of course, American. That's, an international organization that's just happened to be hosted in New York City in the United States. This is the same way. The Institute of the 12 is in Karnath's capital of Korth, and is hosted there, but is supposed to be, again, international, and it features representatives of various nations within the 12. Like even more than something like the Academy in Sharn, or even someone like Flamewind or whatever else. These people know as much as there is to know about things like the Draconic Prophecy and stuff like that. And the fact that the 12 have called for you to come and speak to them is significant in a number of ways. And Hilar lays all this out and then says, as far as I know, I don't know why they're calling for us directly, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out that they have to have heard some of what's going on. And that means that this is both a risk, but also a huge potential reward. Obviously, the more that we go places, the more that we tell people that the Oracle of War exists at all, the more dangerous it could theoretically be to us. However, we already know that we've had to deal with the political situation in places like Breland. Obviously, we can't be going and telling people about stuff in Thrain. So if there is an opportunity to get actual knowledge and information about the Oracle, it could give us a lead on how we can get to the Oracle of Bones. It could tell us more about the Oracle itself works. It could give us more information about how to control it so it's not firing off the wrong way. Obviously, Sol Ring ought to be able to do some of that, but he himself doesn't even know entirely what's happened to it. And of course, maybe most important at the moment, he looks back at Tantan, it's also out of the gray. And I don't know about you all, but I could use myself a little time clear of this place. So it makes sense to do that. But it's risky. It is not just the location of Karnath, a nation with which we were once at war. But you all know the organization that has its headquarters here, even if Karnath doesn't technically rely on them anymore. The Emerald Claw is still around. It's still a threat. And we still don't entirely know what happened to Arul and Karnak. And as long as Arul and Karnak is in play, and he kind of just shakes his head, The Emerald Claw is dangerous. Karnath itself was never as afraid of using the undead as some of the others were. And I think I mentioned this last time, but in the last waning days of the last war, Karnath became so desperate that it began to use undead in its forward forces in a way that a lot of the other countries just refused to do. And it's still to this day is kind of a, from what you know, I mean, you haven't like hung around Karnath a whole bunch, but from what you know of it, it's something which is hotly debated even now among the people of Karnath, many of whom are deeply ashamed that that was done, and who basically look at anyone who traffics with or deals with the undead as being like the worst cruelty, like the worst kind of, you know, awful creatures, humans that could, or whatever, that could do something like that. And then there are the other groups who are kind of like, you know, Karnath for the Karnathians, like, did you want to get taken over by the other countries? Because what else were we supposed to do? So there's still a back and forth a little bit about that country, but it has publicly now forsworn use of necromantic arts. It has publicly forsworn use of the undead, and it has publicly pointed a lot to, we're hosting the Institute of the 12 and they're independent and you can trust us there. So obviously, so publicly, Karnath has tried to distance itself from its actions in the last war. Privately, there's a great deal of suspicion among other countries about their presence. So,
And correct me if I'm wrong, but they're the ones who were targeting healers, right?
the Emerald Claw, yep.
Like, and we're basically heading into where we suspect is their den.
Where they, yes, although, yes. The
I mean,
Emerald Claw,
it's a terrorist group, which the country
exactly.
has,
That's what I was going to
know,
say. Yeah.
We
Right.
suffer them. If we could wipe them out, one would think they would, but they're not Karnathian, if that's what you're wondering.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly, but it is true. You are going into a place of where that terrorist group does have some authority, does have some presence, and so.
Rhea, I just want to make sure you don't start interrogating every Karnath citizen you see. Hurry with the
Listen.
claw! Hurry with the claw! Hurry with the claw! Like,
Look, I can do it telepathically. It won't even impede the gameplay. It's be this
Swear to
ringing
me.
voice in their head. Are you with the claw?
Yeah, are you with the claw? Every time, but just telepathically only. So she just does the. It's like in Fellowship of the Ring when Galadriel in the film when Galadriel does the like one who was
Dark
seeing
Queen.
the eye. Like no, I mean the part where she opens her eyes telepathically and she's giving Frodo the message, and she's like,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
how about you? One who was seeing the eye, and like the eyes flash up. I just had this image of Maramé passing everybody like
We'll be
little
walking
kid.
down the street. Yeah, you'll see everyone going like, "Whoa!" It'll be great. No, I won't. But you know what? At least we know they're there. In other places, we wouldn't necessarily have our guard up against them. And I think
Right.
getting out of the gray is a good idea right now. Looking back at Tenton.
so I address Halar and say, what is the current diplomatic status between Karnath and Braylon?
Braylon and Karnath are doing much better than, let's say, Braylon and Thrain, but that's not saying much. Karnath right now has allegedly remained neutral, and because of the Institute of the 12, there you could say that they've got a little bit of a common understanding of the importance of acting logically and rationally. Karnath, even when they were using the necromantic arts, was always something that valued learning, education. They were never might for might's sake. So, relatively speaking, their relationships with Braylon are neutral. But, of course, they also have a border with Thrain, and they're right on the edge of the Mournland, and so in some ways, Karnath may be also under its own level of pressure. I guess what I'm saying is, from the outside, it's probably as safe another country as we're likely to visit. From the inside, you've been with me the last few months. You know what's been happening. If we are getting closer to war, Karnath would be just as involved in it as everybody else.
Correct. The fact that they have a border on the Mournland would indicate they are under threat from the Lord of Blades. They and Thrain.
He nods. He
Yep.
says, that's what I'm hoping as well. Common
So-
enemy.
We will leverage that threat if we must. Not in a bad way, but No, we're not enemies. Breland is not enemies with Karnath, so hopefully a common enemy will cause the two countries to join together. Is my goal.
What if we have? I'm just asking here, but what do they know of us though? Because if they try to take the Oracle of War and we have to fight our way out, how implicated is the king in this?
They know, well, the Institute of the 12, it's never entirely clear how they're able to know what it is they know, but they have sages and a great deal of pull and sway, partly because they're allowed to operate somewhat independently in each of the various nations, or at least most of them. I don't know exactly what they know about the King's Citadel specifically, but they know that you are representatives of Breland, and they know something anyway about the Oracle of War. I don't know what exactly. But the reality is that, is there a risk they could try to capture us, take us, or something? It's possible, but if they're sending one of their ships to bring us there, if they've told the official channels back in Breland, the last thing Karnath wants is for Breland to level their whole army and get us right back into the war that we started. Karnath is more cautious. They would go slower than that. Of course, if they knew what just happened to a quarter of the Braylish army, and he sort of shakes his head, best not to think of that part. But the answer is, Maramé, I don't know exactly what they know, but it's a safe bet that they're not going to actively move against us in the open. They're going to want to gather information, and that's the risk and the reward. We can get information from them there that we won't be able to get from our own people. Karnath has its own intelligence sources, and they will have gotten different information than we have.
Well, I mean, it's a way out of here, and it's a way out of here fast, so... And if they're scholars, we might learn something we need to learn, especially that new line of the Draconic Prophecy. That's of interest.
He nods and he says, I agree, but you'll also have a chance to rest and recuperate while you're there, and you might be able to gather some information even from representatives of your houses. Nisiana, and he sort of indicates Nisiana is at some distance, but House Jarasco will have a representative there, and then he stops and he sort of slowly looks back at Tanton. And House Cannith as well, if Tanton is interested in following up with that.
And I just want to be clear here. Is it Flamewind that contacted them to let them know? Because I believe my sister contacted Flamewind. Are they allied with her, or?
So these may be two separate issues. You don't know from the message that you got.
Okay.
But the Nisiana had contacted Flamewind. Flamewind had notified the authorities because of this, because that was part of the idea of what Flamewind was going to do, but certainly wouldn't have then contacted Karnath. You don't think that's the case. It's probably the case that the Institute of 12 has already gotten knowledge of the Oracle. I mean, as you have all done a wonderful job at trying to keep things as quiet as you possibly can, but between Thrain, the Morning, the Lord of Blades, it's not like all of this stuff is like, hey, anything been going on lately? No, everything's normal. Like, there's a lot of the countries surrounding it are all dealing with these same kind of issues right now. So it's a fair bet to assume that they have some knowledge of these things. Also, it may be that Flamewind does have some connections with the Institute because Flamewind is like one of the experts in Sharn, and the Institute of 12 is an expert itself in the Draconic Prophecy. So it's possible that they may be in contact in other ways, but you don't necessarily know that it's Flamewind that contacted them. It may be just that they happen to be in touch with the Braylish government, and now the Braylish government is like, we need representatives who know what the hell we're dealing with to go talk to them. Could very well be.
Perfect. Just curious.
Halar, are we to... Well, actually, I asked you, Maramé, did they say how the ship is finding us? Are we supposed to remain here? Or are we supposed to head back to Salvation?
They didn't say. From the message that they sent, Institute of 12 sending ship for you. So I'm assuming that they'll either be able to track us by some means, which is not a comforting thought, or they'll come here to find us.
You mean track us and come here, given that we are carrying an artifact that, when activated, sends out a freaking beacon the size of...
Yeah.
The Argonth.
And they could use divination. There's multiple ways they could be tracking us at this point. not the most comforting thought, but at least we'll get a ride out of here, and that's something.
Arv, how far do we estimate we are from Salvation right now?
You are probably still a day and a half walks, probably, if you had to guess. Maybe 2 days. You know, you took part of the trip in here on the Argonth.
You're right. That's what I was thinking.
So,
It's
yeah.
probably a little bit longer than that.
Could be,
Because
but
the
remember though, the Argonth was not going super fast. I mean, like, it's a huge
true.
ship to begin with, so, you know, it was designed for space, not speed, so to speak.
Yeah, it was designed for armament.
Well, yes.
Then Valerian says, well, then the question is, although I guess it's not much of a question given Mia Tantan's current state, whether we press on or remain here for the evening. Since it is like late afternoon, early evening, right?
Early evening, yeah.
Uh-huh.
We know
Just
this
traveling in the gray at night is not advised.
No, we
And
know
me
this
with
place
like
is
one
safe.
healing spell left, so.
Yeah, we all need rest real bad.
Nisiana interjects in her mind. No healing here.
Yeah.
Yes,
just-
as much as I don't like the idea, it's probably for the best that we stay here.
I think so. Maybe we can bring Tantan at least somewhere more comfortable, perhaps in one of the
tents
surrounding
look
tents. Yeah.
Reasonable, maybe. And then we find out they're all big mimics.
I mean, we walked in them and we walked out, so
Yeah, the first time they just want more of us to go in. That's how they
that's
get you.
true. I feel Halar looks tasty though, so I
Well-
think we're safe.
It's country boys, man. I'm telling you.
Luckily they'll spit me out, so I'm not too worried. It's all good. Yeah.
I wouldn't even be an appetizer.
Barbecue sauce on his back before he stepped in, like irresistible. So, like,
it's
trust me, they're not
it's suntan
mimics.
lotion. Don't worry, you're fine.
Yeah, it's just
Nisiana's the amuse bouche. All right. I nod to Halar. Thank you for the update. I have not been to Karneth in many years. Actually, not since the war was going on. So I was not up on current relations in the state, and I especially not the council. Council, was that what it was called? Council of 12?
The Institute. of the
Institute.
12.
Sorry, the Institute. I have
Yeah.
council in my head. The Institute, because it would never cross my mind to seek them out. So I appreciate the information. And of course, as always, we will be on our guard.
So Hilar nods. And also one note generally that I should mention is that assuming the Institute of the 12 is on the up and up, and they have generally demonstrated that they are, like, they don't, it's not, they are about as, like, you're not going to find a more powerful assemblage of magical talent probably in Eberron, like, at least on Corvair. Like, they can shield. Like, even the Lord of Blades would have had a hard time just breaking through, even with the Argonth on his own. Like, they are immensely powerful because of the nature of the magic that they wield. So, and the other thing is, because they are composed of various national, origins in their group, if you attack the 12, every nation is angry, right? Like, every nation gets pissed off. So that's the other reason it was constructed, so that people would not be like, let's take out the obvious powerful force. Like, and so they kind of put this in place. So having said all that, of course, that is what the intention was. Whether the reality matches the intention after what, you've all been through over the last few months, So as you start heading back, I want to just quickly jump back for a moment to Rowan and Tantan and Nisiana. And Mother Johanna has come over and has kind of kneeled down and has not said anything, Tantan, but has put a hand on your shoulder, and you can't hear the whispering exactly, but and I don't want to assume for you what Tantan experiences, but I'll put it this way. If Tantan had felt the sort of, if what is staying with Tantan is the roaring of the screaming of the people, if that's what was happening, the touch would tend to mute that sound. If there was the oncoming swirl of the mist, and it's just that Tantan was like the thing that was overwhelming, that would itself become somewhat dimmer. So the way I would describe it is, it's like if you have a terrible headache and you take some kind of a painkiller that kind of dulls it a bit, at least, I guess might be the way to describe it. That is what Mother Johanna does somehow, although you're not entirely sure how. And that's all she does. Mother Johanna does not say, it is all right, come towards the light. Doesn't do any of that, just is sort of with you. And as she has her hand on your shoulder, I'll allow you to say anything or not to her as you wish. But I do want to say quickly that she says quietly to Nisiana and to Rowan, she says, you probably both know this is a deep, fundamental trauma that he is experiencing. And so this will be a difficult path back. Are you, both of you, either of you, how are you now? His trauma is his own. What of yours? And she sort of says that to both you and both Nisiana and Rowan.
I've seen too much lately, but nothing compared to what's happened to him. And what the perspective of what I think we both saw. I now understand his pain. I understand a little bit. I look at Rowan.
This entire time, I am just looking at Tantin. And for a moment, it's like very obvious that I'm trying to avoid the question now that I know that I'm being actively observed.
Mm-hmm.
And then I say, it feels sometimes like you're living in a world where there's a time before destruction and then it's just after. I wasn't here, I don't know this, but I've seen salvation do a kind of math with less and less every other time someone rolls in with some new mission for the war. And it feels like I've just seen that line be drawn in time between the before and after. And I hate it, but my grief is flavored with spice where others might be flavored like coffee. And I don't know how to deal with not giving them the spice, so I'm just gonna sit with this for a moment until my friend feels better.
And Mother Johanna sort of nods slowly, and she says, that is as it should be. But I want you both to know that as you work to help him through his trauma and process your own, that you must and should reach out. There are other ways in which it gets expressed. I have seen what you have done, all of you, since coming to salvation. It is easy to thank people for preserving one's home. It is harder to think what the preservers themselves have suffered. I think
she starts tearing up. She doesn't want to, but she starts tearing up.
And Mother Johanna just sort of allows that, doesn't like say anything other than to just sort of let that be for a moment. And then says, I have found that my faith and the ways I have worked to comfort the sick and the afflicted have led me a measure of peace, that I am doing something in the face of depravity and war, and I have seen great acts of compassion. I am not a great fighter or magician or healer or maker. I only can speak and listen. But as the song is sung, there are some voices that seem to carry the tune more strongly. When all of you go together to wherever you meet next, I hope you will take time for a moment of silence in between the singing. All of you deserve that, I think. And then she puts another hand on Tanton again briefly, and then stands and turns and walks off. And you can see as she walks off that Garena is sort of sitting there with her hand kind of thoughtfully on her chin, looking down at the groups, at the three of you sort of on the ground / kneeling or standing right next to Tanton. Okay. Now, the group of you are, as you said, going to sort of stick it out here as best you can for the evening. So my question is, how, what exactly do you want to do to sort of set up a camp? You don't need to go into great detail, just what are your plans for how to do that? And then secondly, how are people going to attend to Tanton for the moment? And I'm going to have to rely on Tren to tell me when and if Tanton responds differently to these things. I'm not blowing through anything you're doing, Tren. I'm just trying to honor what Tanton's reacting to. So
I don't remember if I described it last time, because we were right at the end of the...
You may have briefly, but yeah.
The best description for the audience to understand basically what he's doing is the scene in Terminator 2 where Sarah Connor is dreaming that she's at the chain link fence and she sees the bomb go off and everybody just, blow apart like burned paper, which it was a beautiful... Yeah. Anyway, that's basically what he has always heard about, but had never seen it until this marathon. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Marame and Alar had scouted out the areas, so what Alarian will suggest is taking the largest tent, gently moving Tanton inside, carrying him if necessary, because...
So just to be clear, there are no functional tents. They're all destroyed and on the ground. You can see little bits and remnants of them.
Oh, I thought they were better than that.
No,
okay.
The only thing that's standing you can see fragments, but the only thing really standing is the carousel, which I assume
we need
no
some
one wants
kindling.
Yeah, we'll just get on the carousel and just rest there. That should be fine.
Why didn't you rest there? I said take it apart. But
yeah, Oh,
all right. Well, then we'll have to jury rig something best we can. All right. But get him into some kind of shelter, I guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
somewhere where he won't necessarily look at the carousel either.
Okay. All right. Well, as you all set that up, I would say that assuming everyone is able to assuming everyone is able to sort of set guards, I won't make everyone go through that right now. Then I would say that you are able to benefit from a long rest. Now, the one person that I'm not sure about with this, and I Trent is always very good about being thoughtful about what he would or wouldn't get. I don't know, Tren. On the one hand, I know the trauma means that rest would be very difficult. On the other hand, even trauma gives way to exhaustion at some point. Yeah. So I'm inclined to think you probably would get a long rest, but there wouldn't be any intentionality in terms of I'd like to make this or create this or build it. You wouldn't be able to do that, I don't think. Right. But so
So I think yeah, I think that's actually a really good idea, because what I was going to say before this merry-go-round thing happened is that at the end of this next long rest that we were going to take, that he was going to finish the thing he was working on, which was the rope trick rope. But now, no, he's not going to finish that. So yeah, he have his long rest, but he's not going to complete the spell-infused object.
And actually, I would ask Nisiana if she has something that might help him rest.
Hammer?
Hopefully not so physical.
If he'll drink something, I have.
If anyone can convince him to do so, it would be you. And right now, I think he needs it more than anything.
Well,
and I'm a mechanical man who don't even drink nothing. So.
I noticed. Otherwise, I would have made you go do some of this stuff.
I mean, I can get him to drink it, but he won't like it.
No, I wouldn't let you. So Nisiana basically will talk quietly in Mia Tantan's ear and just say, Tantan, I have something for you to drink. It will help you rest. And will you? Please?
He is, again, to draw from Terminator 2, he's gone from the manic sobbing, crying, screaming of, I'm not going to let you do it when she's trying to kill Miles Dyson, to when John Connor shows up and she realizes that he came there to stop her from doing it, and she's sobbing, but it's nowhere near as bad as it was. And so, he hears it. It's a little bit disconnected, but he'll drink.
Like I can put the thing in his hand and lift it to his lips.
Which then goes to Aliens, where Ripley's like, have a little hot chocolate. Everything.
You're not going to do the creating life speech from T2, are you?
Not anymore. I was going. No.
Now that you've spoiled the moment,
Tantan can almost do it in a way.
And it's just common herb sedatives. I have the alchemical kit and the med
chamomile
kit.
tea with a touch of opium. Yeah.
And some valerian root or something. Something that is designed to help you sleep, and probably help get rid of the raging headache you probably have from the sobbing. Because I know that when you go through that kind of grief of the loss of something, your whole head hurts. And so she focuses on that until he does, and then she'll look at Rowan and ask him if he'll help escort Mia Tantan, and then look at Illyrium like, where are we taking him? Because if we can get him in
somewhere where he can't see the carousel.
That may be you sitting in behind him.
You're just like the block.
I mean, if necessary, I'll be on watch all night anyway. So
like literally, if we don't have any rocks or anything around here, the carousel's the only structure right now, as far as I understand.
Right. There's rubble and so on, but
Trend is the only one who has the mend cantrip, right?
I have mend.
You have mend.
I have mending.
Then. Actually, are the scraps of the tents even usable at all, or do when we pick them up they just crumble away?
Just paper. Yeah.
All right, fine.
It seems acting like paper.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, actually, if he rests, it should be good enough. Your tincture does the job.
So what I will say then is, since this is a long rest, that means that you will restore all your hit points. So Larian, you'll be at 96 again, which means your Aegis will be
47.
Back to 47, yep. And you will restore also, if any hit dice were used, then you'll get half of the hit dice you may have spent back if you have any of those. I don't know about soul dice, John. You'd have to check and see how those restore.
I'm checking, and I believe I do get at a long rest. It restores all of them.
Okay,
but I'll double check.
So Tantan then will say is going to get the benefit of those hit points back. So 73. Does Spanner get? How does that work with Spanner? Does he also? Okay. Okay, so 62 out of 62. So Nisiana, you'll get your those ones back. So 98 now.
Bye, Brandon.
And then oh no, damn it. All right, 1 second. We'll hopefully get that fixed. And then Merime, you get nothing back. No, just kidding. You're back to 129. I'm totally joking. Back to 129. And any of the magic users here, any of the magic user folks, you will get your spell slots back as well on the benefit of a long rest. Please keep in mind that this is the one long rest you get in a 24-hour period. Not that I think you'd be planning to do another one in 24 hours, but I'm just letting you know that would be the case. Just give me a second, since we are now very much not in the same place. So just
well, since John is now playing me, I have to tell him everything that I have planned for chances for reaction.
Yep.
Okay, I think I got
Zoom,
it. Oh,
Zoom
yeah.
was behaving badly. I think it responded poorly to the idea of Rowan being present while other people are receiving hit points.
I see. He's like, wait a minute, this cannot stand. That's funny. Okay, so in the morning, and pun absolutely intended, in the morning and in the morning, the King's Citadel, you are woken, and I would say it's probably Merime. No, actually Ilarion, because Ilarion would have been up and doing on guard. So Halar comes over to you, having woken up rather earlier than the others, and sort of points out, and he says, well, it appears that our ride has arrived. And as you sort of look where he's pointing, you see a ship come into view. Now, you have, of course, Ilarion, seen many different kinds of ships over the years, many airships of different types, and you were just on the Argonth, this massive flying fortress. What you see here is nothing like that. What you see here is a sleek and sort of extraordinarily brightly colored ship sort of bearing on the horizon. And I have a picture that I've just put on stream to show you what it looks like. This is the ship that is coming towards you, and it is coming, interestingly, from the northeast, which is the direction from which Karnath would be, as opposed to the southwest. As you are sort of, it is heading in your direction, getting larger and larger, and Hilar says, that could be an attack ship, but almost certainly that's an airship from Karnath. A Lyrandar airship, probably. Now, the Lyrandar airships are, considered some of the fastest ships that exist on Corvair. They are extremely agile. If Argonth was designed to take a punch and keep on rolling, the Lyrandar airships are designed to miss having punches hit them at all. They are quite fast and yet remarkably stable and steady. In fact, you can even see that they have a slight shimmering, almost sort of magical circle that surrounds them. The elemental power, and they do have elemental power, but the elemental power is charged with also magical energy, which gives them this sort of speed. And so it very fast, quickly gets larger and larger and larger as you're coming. So, Ilarion, you seeing that, Alar kind of looks over and says, we should probably wake the others.
Yep. Go make sure they see us, which obviously they do if they know we're in the area, and I'll take care of waking the rest of the party. And I proceed to do that.
Okay. So as you were all gradually awoken, you see what I have described, and within 5 minutes, maybe a little less, the ship is now hovering overhead, and it gradually sinks lower, like almost hovers lower, as if it were a helicopter almost, to go out of game for a second, and goes lower and lower and lower. And then what you see at the sort of bottom of it is this kind of a door open up in the bottom of that little spur that you can see at the bottom of the ship, essentially, on the picture. And you see someone dressed in blue sort of stand at the door and wave, and then nods, and what I can only describe as a almost translucent wide beam of white light shoots out from the bottom of the spur, and lands on the ground silently. And in fact, when it hits, you would almost think that it was like light hitting the ground and nothing more, except when it hits, there is a little of like dust and sort of rock from the rubble of the carnival. And then you see this person in blue walking down the ramp. And I believe I have a picture of this person. Let's see. Just give me 1 second while I find it. Yes, I do have a picture.
I have to do this. Bug office!
Damn it! It is not... Okay. So...
No, Bogofkus is dead. He's been dead for a long time, and he's been dead on another plane.
Yeah, other than that, it could totally be him, except
Absolutely.
for those factors.
And he's a giant. Or was. before
I'm
he
like
died.
looking at Tenton to see if he's reacting at all, because that's some pretty cool tech. If he's
No,
not-
he's pretty much as they would describe in Watership Down. He is Tharn.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
He is
Yes, darn. Yeah.
Tharn.
That was a hell of a book to read when you're young.
Uh-huh.
Such
I
a...
did not grow up in English. I did not read it, and I don't think I have much. Mind you, I read some terrible things in French.
Oh, that
so-
reminds me.
Oh, no,
somebody
no,
saw-
you
a-
really,
It's a
This-
brilliant book.
but it is
It's
somewhat
Very hard to
traumatizing.
watch. Although,
That's what I
oddly
heard.
enough, though, even for children, it is traumatizing in a way, but not exactly. It somehow manages to convey it with some... There's also a lightness to it. I don't know if I could describe it. Somehow it kind of gets above the surface of what is often very, very brutal stuff. I don't know. I think it's actually even
it's,
underrated. It's a brilliant
A
book.
kid's lack of experience, and
Might be
now
that.
that we're adults and we really understand what.
Yeah. That could very well be. Okay.
That reminds me that somebody taught me something in French. I want to talk to you about it later, Marie, because I don't know if it's offensive. So after the show.
I would love to.
Okay, let's see. So, let me get rid of that. And let me put that, there we go. All right. So here, oops, sorry about that. I should have done that in a different way. All right, transition. There we go. So,
Her.
Good watch.
there we go. So she comes down to the bottom of the ramp, moving very sort of, I think formally, sort of almost a little bit stiffly, perhaps, and walks to the bottom of the ramp and sort of nods and says, "Do I have the honor of addressing the representatives of Brayland?" And Halar, Halar sort of looks around, and Halar says, "More or less, that's right. And some of the people whose charge it was for us to rescue." And so the woman, who clearly you could see a slight, perhaps, angle to the ears and the eyes. This might be someone of elvish heritage, maybe a half-elf. And she nods and she says, "I am Arfira of de Lorandar, of the House Lorandar. This is the airship that has been sent from the Institute of 12. I am here on the governing council of the Institute, and I have been sent to bring you, as quickly as may be, to the Institute's home. I recognize that you have been, so it seems, through a great deal, though I cannot know the details. You will be safe aboard our ship. But I see there are more here as well than I might have expected." And Hilar is kind of like, "These were the people that we, rescued." And so she, Arfira, sort of looks at all of them and kind of nods, but then sees Solring, and sort of her mouth literally opens slightly. You get the impression this is not a woman who generally her mouth opens in shock at anything, right? And she's like, "Solring Moranin." And Solring kind of straight, and he says, "Aye." And he nods, he sort of bows low, and he says, "It's an honor to speak to you, Arfira. There is some information that must be conveyed to the Institute as quick as may be, but some of us here may not be as suited for that trip or journey. I wonder if you might be able to drop some of the others off at Salvation or nearby, and the rest of us could travel with you, if that is amenable to. He sort of looks at all of the 5 of you plus Alar, if that's amenable to this group. And Arfira says, I might be able to do better than that, actually. If they wish, I can teleport all of the group here that you have back to Salvation. Now, this is in the gray, and that's a pretty damn good teleport. But the thing that I want to note, though, is that she is still standing on the bottom of the ramp. And the ramp itself is shimmering, but seems utterly unaffected by whatever's happening with the gray, which is unusual. If this is magic, as you know, magic gets warped here. But it seems almost as if it's, I guess the way I describe it is, it's much more connected to the airship than it is affected by the ground, if you see what I mean. Like, the airship may be contributing to its stability or something. But definitely those of you, I mean, Rowan, you would, for example, be looking at it and being like, I mean, if there's an actual solid ramp being made out of some combination of magic and elemental energy that extends all the way down from that spar, and it's stable, and the morning isn't affecting it, like, that's pretty, that's good. Like that's some good magical authority there. And you do know, of course, of the Institute of 12's reputation. So she kind of, she says, if so, I would ask everyone to come on board, and then I would teleport those that you wish back to Salvation, while the others would travel with us on the airship. This is a fast one, and she looks up at the ship behind her. It is the Siberis Sailor, and nothing will catch it. And she says this with utter conviction, like, nothing catches this ship.
How the gray tends to play with our magic, although it certainly does not seem to be affecting yours at the moment. How certain are you that your teleportation spell will succeed?
We are going to climb out of range of the gray before attempting to teleport. I would not dare to do it here. The gray would, in fact, be affecting us, and indeed, it is affecting us. But the Institute has found a way to mitigate some of its effects. It is related to, well, it's rather technical, but it's related to the way in which the ship itself is able to take energy and from where. And she points up above her, and you look at there we go. Let me see if I can get both of them on the ship at the same time. She points to the top of the spar. I keep saying spar. I keep meaning spur. Because it could be a spar also, but this is the spur. So the top spur of the ship extends upwards quite a ways, and then you can see that it gets thin, and there's almost what looks like an antenna or something like that at the top of it. And I mentioned that there was this like shimmering circle around it. It's hard to see from where you are, but it almost looks as if there is a glinting light extending from the antenna. And she says, the ship is, if you will, connected by almost invisible threads of magic and elemental power. And this extends all the way back to Korth itself. So, quick out-of-game moment. You all know about the spectacular movie, of course, of Tron. You'll remember there are moments where oh God, what were they called? The recognizers, the rememberers, those big, like, the recognizers, right?
Yeah.
Like, rode on those lines, basically, and there were those sailing ships that rode on the lines. That apparently is what this is. That it's literally connected to Korth, which is a long way connected to the ship.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's some insane magic.
It's also why the ship isn't all that big. Probably can't. I mean, you could never get the Argonth to do something like that. It's too big.
That's pretty impressive.
Institute of 12. Good stuff. So she says, but you all, although you seem to have gotten some rest, still look quite tired, and perhaps us moving out of the gray would be a wise decision. And then her eyes sort of fall on the carousel, and she says, perhaps I should not ask about this here.
Niciana's just like, nope, no. No.
Her head is just a blur. It's shaking back and forth. So bad.
And she nods, and she looks, and she says, you are of the House Jarasco, I believe.
I am.
And then she sees, now, Tantan, are you, like, standing anyway? Or, like...
He's leaning very heavily on Spanner.
Okay. So then she would say, and she starts to address you and then sees, obviously, that you're not paying attention. And so she just says, and he of the House Cannith. And Halar says, we have had some heavy losses and some things we would have preferred not to have seen. And she nods and says, I understand. To view something one does not wish to see is... And she trails off. In any case. Then, if you are amenable, let us be off. The sooner that we have your friends teleported back where they belong, and that we have you on our way, the better. Perhaps, in the magical authority that we possess, you will find a place for some greater rest and healing. And she kind of turns and then takes a few steps up the ramp and then kind of looks over her shoulder. And Sky Blue is kind of like, are we going to go up in that thing then?
Yes.
But
Yes,
we're not
we
going to
are.
come down off of the thing that fast.
No.
She sort
Let's
of
go.
She sort of nods and she, all right. And she kind of, starts walking up. Garena, of course, is like eyes wide, just like, like looking at the thing up there and saying, I was going to ask you, like starts walking after Arfira. I'm really interested and starts like commenting, asking her questions about that. Hilar looks at all of you and then we'll, have you come up the ramp, I guess. Tantan maybe bringing up the rear, maybe, I guess, holding on to Spanner or, sort of.
I immediately look up and I see Jen.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, you tell me.
No, Tantan is not being last anywhere at this point.
Okay, fair enough.
She has to
nope.
be pushing Spanner's ass to move you guys up.
Okay.
Or she basically has Merime be like, we'll take the rear.
Yeah, we'll
Because
stay
I
with him.
I will bring up the rear.
Okay.
Rowan, what about you? Are you are you right next to Tantan still?
I'm walking right beside Tantan.
Okay.
There we go.
And Soul Ring then is probably also, one of the last people on, and kind of looks back over his shoulder at the carousel. And as you walk up the ramp, you have this very strange sensation. Every step that you take on it, you can feel a slight if you were about to say every step you take, every breath you take, I see. All right, good. Every move you make, every vow you break, Tantan, they are watching you. All right, so as you're walking up the
You
ramp,
guys are terrible.
you feel.
I'm suffering psychic damage IRL.
But Brandon, can't you see? You belong.
Stop. Stop. Dear God, let us get on the ship.
So as you're going up the ramp, every pulse, basically, every step that you take, you feel this little pulse of almost static electricity in the soles of your feet. And it just kind of like flows up a bit each time, as if you're walking on a electrically charged field. It's not unpleasant exactly. It's just very noticeable.
Unless
And
you have a metal arm, then
yeah, right. Exactly. Every time Rowan's like, but no, it's not like that. So you step up the ramp and you feel this pulse. And I would say that, so the person who's closest to the back is Larian, did you say? Okay.
Correct.
So
I'm
Larian,
the last one on the ship.
so it may or may not affect you that as you're looking up, you see the ramp is pulling up behind you, but not like up this way. It's literally like it's closing in on you as you go. Like it's lifting up from the ground so that it just is shortening as you all walk up to follow it.
It's a little disconcerting.
Little odd. But the thing itself is absolutely rock solid. And when you arrive at the top, Afira waits for all of you to sort of come in the door and then takes one last look out. And I imagine maybe, let's say it's Merime or Rowan can get one last sight of the ruined carnival and the still very, very functional, in quotes, carousel down below before the door closes. The trip on board the Sybaris sailor is fascinating because none of you ever been on an airship that goes this straight or this level. If you didn't know better, you would swear you were on a train rather than an airship. There's no turbulence, there's no buffeting, and the assumption has to be that it's because it's on this line, basically, that's sort of this mystical line that's pulling it back towards Korth. But once you are high enough up, it's sort of, and it really does go, like, it doesn't bank or turn, it kind of goes up and then over. So as it lifts up, it gets to a certain point where Afira says that she's now ready to teleport the people who want to go. Now, Sol Ring needs to go with you, he says, because he has to be one of the people to report to the Institute of 12. But as far as anybody else, you could very easily send Mother Johanna. You could send Sky Blue. You could easily send those folks back to Salvation, and they would probably be happy to go if they wish. Although Sky Blue is also, like, sort of two minds about it, because she also wouldn't mind going with her dear friend Sol Ring and trying to find out more about, the whereabouts of her father. And then there is a possibility you could send Garena as well, although Garena is very much like, I want to see the cool tech and go see the Institute of 12. So if it were up to just what the people want, Mother Johanna would want to go back to Salvation. Maybe the Sky Blue is kind of mixed. You might have to talk to her either way about what you want to do. And then the others would want to stay. But it's up to you all, of course, about who you actually want sent back to Salvation and who not.
I mean, I'd ask Sky Blue, but as far as we can tell, you're still linked with the Draconic Prophecy, and we've not yet found your father, and they were obviously still after you. I'd feel better personally if you stayed with us, but of course, you are your own free agent.
Sky Blue says, well, I do want to come with you. I'd rather do it anyway, just to... And she kind of... They don't need me back at Salvation, not right now. You should send the mother back, though. She's needed. And, whether you want to send anyone else. And she kind of... Her eyes flicker to Rowan and then to Garena.
I know,
and then back to Rowan. And, because clearly it's not like Rowan was like, keeping a secret of it.
Fan.
Yeah.
Salvation could use a really good mechanic person like Garena. And I think it might be a better idea to do that. I think Sol Ring will have all the information from the forge that is necessary.
Good point. Okay. I was going to disagree with you until you brought that up. It's true.
While Garena has the enthusiasm and the energy that the people of Salvation need, and the Council of 12 does not. I understand she would rather learn about tech that they're probably not going to want to talk to her about. But in an effort to make this a easier trip, she should probably go back with Mother Johanna.
Okay. And Garena, does not put up too much of a fight about this, despite her disappointment at being sent away. And she says, well, I'll do anything I can to help the people of Salvation build back there, of course. I'll see what I can do. But Sol Ring, you need to take notes and you need to give me all the information. And Sol Ring says, I'll do all of that. Now listen to me, lass. And she kind of like looks at him and he says, never mind what everyone else does or doesn't think about you. I know that you've got talent. If you want to actually use that talent for good this time, then I'm going to tell you to make sure you do what you can to build Salvation back as well as possible. I don't know how long we're all going to be over there in Korth, sorry. Try to combine capital city and country. And Korth. But I can tell you that if we get back and Salvation still looks like a mess, I'm going to question whether you learned anything from working on the forge. And Grenna sort of like slightly bristles and she says, you can count on me that Salvation will look very good by the time you get back. She kind of nods firmly. And Sol Ring says, well, all right then. I guess we'll see. And he turns and Nisiana, you swear you think he winks, but maybe that was just, and so Grenna goes and along with Mother Johanna. Just before Mother Johanna leaves and is teleported away, she says again to all of you, thank you for having saved us. And Elarian, I hope that you will be able to let the others know, the Institute, the people of Karnath. Convey to them what the people that do not want war of Brayland are like. I would prefer to have no more charges for whom I must grieve.
We will do our best.
And she nods, and Arfira then sort of stands straight and moves her hand around and begins to whisper some words. And the space around Mother Johanna and Grenna glows and then becomes bright white and becomes so bright that you can't even really look at it directly. And then is gone. And Arfira waits for a moment, and then with maybe just the slightest, if that, bit of strain. All right. And now we must make our own way, as swift as may be. If there's anything that my crew can do for you, you have your own quarters here. But if my crew can do anything for you, please let us know. In the meantime, I will redouble our efforts. We are above the gray, but events are moving quickly elsewhere in the world. And she kind of nods to all of you and then goes up to the bridge. The travel aboard this sailor, I should say, is smooth and swift. And as I say, none of you have ever been in a more stable position by the end of it. I'm curious, by the time we get to Korth, as we go, I'm curious about, A, if Merrimail, Larry, Nisiana, and Rowan have anything they want to say to each other or Hilar. And you'll have a chance to do some of that maybe at the council or at the Institute as well. But then B, also I'm curious how Tantin does or does not, like, are there any changes over the course of that 12 to 16 hour period maybe?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay.
For the most part, he's kind of sitting on the deck.
Okay.
Leaning back against Spanner and looking up at the upper arc of the ring around the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And his lips are moving silently. If you listen close enough, he is muttering both arcane and mathematical formula of whatever it takes to maintain that.
Yeah. And it's one thing I'll say too, Tantin, is that this looks like a slightly modified version of airships that you had heard spoken of. You may have been on a Lorander airship before, but
No, but he saw one.
He saw one, okay. Because I was going to say, like, the stability of it is just like it is not. It sort of almost defies description. And the sort of sail ships. The one thing that Karnath, towards the end of the war, had wanted to do some work on, at least so the historians claim, was to be able to make ships quick enough that they could deliver extraordinarily destructive weapons to the enemy before the enemy could do something about it. This may be more of a civilian purpose for it, but no wonder they could go this fast if this is the kind of technology that we're dealing with.
What he did is, for him, since he was going to be a battlesmith, well, Smith, battle part didn't come until later, he was going to be on the lightning rail going to Sharn. And the people who were going to Karnath, they were the ones who boarded one of these ships and took off. So he saw one, but he never rode on it.
Okay. Cool.
And they were the artillerists.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Okay. So Yeah. The other four of you, Merme, Larry, Nisiana, Rowan. And again, this is not making you, if you don't have anything to say to each other right now, you don't have to.
Actually,
just
Valerian does.
Okay.
And he would certainly gather the other three for sure. And then the question about Tanton is whether he wants to join us, because I want to have a conversation about what we feel comfortable telling the Institute. So we're all presenting a united front, basically, and actually Halar as well.
Okay.
I think it's important that we kind of, get our press strategy now kind of laid out. What do we tell them? Do we tell them we actually have the freaking thing with us, or we say, oh, it's safe, don't worry about it, that kind of stuff? What are we? Is there anything we want to hold back from them? Is the real
Also,
question.
I remember something about Sol Ring saying that the Oracle being small wasn't going to last for that much longer.
Yeah, that's right. And basically, as you get it onto the ship, he basically changes the spell so that it goes back to its normal order, and it wouldn't have stayed that way for long anyway. So yes.
Okay.
So it's now at its normal space. In fact, the Oracle is given its own essentially magical isolation chamber, is the way that it's described. And again, I mentioned that static electricity feeling on the soles of the feet when you were going up the ramp. You get that feeling, but even greater when this thing goes in there. Like basically when they turn when the thing is placed within the room and then the stuff goes on, like again, the Lord of Blades, it feels like, would have had a hard time breaking through to get the Oracle if it was being kept in an isolation thing like this. Extraordinarily hard to do this, and it can't be done for very large spaces. Like the energy cost must be enormous to do that. But
I'm gonna roll to see how Tandon reacts. If it's odd, he's gonna just sit there and mutter. If it's evens, he'll join the others.
Okay.
Sure.
That is a 1. He's gonna sit there.
He's gonna sit there. Okay.
All right. I'm not
one
gonna
second.
press,
My daughter's
I'll-
calling me. One second.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Snap out of it. No.
It was like they're either gonna use calm emotions or slap the living shit out of him.
Well, at some point, I'm going to have to point out that House Kenneth will be there and will want to talk to him privately. So he kind of needs to be.
Get it together.
And at some point, I guess I'm going to have to say, come
Push
and
it.
sit.
Yes, if you feel you have to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. After we have the conversation. Hey, Sinavi.
Yeah, I
Happy
just want to take a minute.
birthday!
Happy
So chat, say happy birthday to my
Happy
incredible, amazing daughter.
birthday!
My
Happy
16,
birthday.
my 16-year-old light of my life. All right, I'm gonna grab her little present that I was gonna give her here. So, give me 1 second.
Open on stream. Open on stream. No, don't do that to us.
Jumping out the window so she doesn't.
Quick,
have to-
Sanavine, you have 2 minutes to become GM.
Tell us everything's going to be okay.
Just say the words "rocks fall, everyone dies." Just say
No,
that real
don't
quick.
say that.
Wait, that's wrong.
Legendary gifts.
All the enemies die. You won the campaign. Thank you.
Yeah, that's the right words. Yes. Okay, she definitely knows how to GM. Absolutely.
To be clear, my wonderful daughter has not taken over control this far.
Yeah.
I
so-
believe, Arv, it's your daughter's
It's
birthday.
my daughter's
so
birthday,
you
so-
cannot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't discover
Campaign
her.
over. Yeah,
So I am-
victorious.
Those things.
So I am giving my daughter for her birthday the Pierre the Penguin Woobles crochet kit. Now my daughter already has learned to crochet, so this is technically, but I could not resist it when I found that this was there. So
This is actually helpful 'cause I don't know how to make amaguri, which is crochet animals.
right, exactly. So you don't have to make crocheted animals. So I figured, yeah. So
Thank you.
You're going to have it done by Gen Con?
Yeah, bring it to Gen Con. We want to see.
and yeah,
Tell her
they
she
said
has
they're
to
gonna
bring
have
it to
done
Gen
by
Con.
They said you have to have that done by Gen Con.
I'll have this done by Gen Con?
Yeah.
Nah.
She said, "Oh yeah, it's definitely gonna be done by Gen Con."
Yeah, she's
Thursday.
like,
Yeah.
please.
Thursday.
She's very, very confident that would be a thing. Yeah.
That's so fun. Happy birthday, sweetie. I'll see you. It really
Happy
did.
birthday.
And with
Happy
it,
B-Day.
the Soul Street
Wednesday.
Girl was always-
Farewell, usurper.
God.
I heard that.
So, our campaign's done as decreed by your daughter.
Oh,
so
really?
I guess we better
Yeah.
move
That's
on.
pretty
So
cool.
yeah.
That
yeah.
seems like
Cookie
we're having a great
time.
time, right?
Yep.
That's good.
By the way, for
awesome.
everybody in stream, Prince Justin just won an award yesterday. The
Oh,
Ignite Award, I believe it was.
congratulations, Prince
Big night
Justin.
for
That's
an announced
awesome.
already? That's really rad. Congrats,
I thought-
Prince
I thought-
Justin.
Didn't
They're
I
awesome.
read that on Blue Sky? Did I get that wrong?
Maybe we just want to congratulate you for being you, Prince Justin.
Okay. No, I got it right. All right. Congratulations
but
on your award.
award-winning Prince Justin is that plus, plus X, so it's even better. That's awesome.
Okay, so yeah, first of all, yes, congratulations to Prince Justin, and also, yes, I not the time for this, except I'm just going to say this quickly, Prince Justin. I'll talk more about this after stream. It is abominable the way that the Hugos have handled this. Completely botched. It is one of many examples why the Hugos has been broken for a while and needs to be fixed. I'm sorry, and the idea that Prince Justin would be not that Prince Justin would not be eligible as fan writer is the biggest joke that we can imagine. I don't care what the rules are. I got a lot of the well actually vibes today from people who are like, well, you see, it's because it's owned by I don't give a goddamn who it's owned by. The most significant award in science fiction and fantasy should not be at the whims of stupid incompetence or just straight up rigged balloting. It's just straight up what it is. So I am very sorry that you've had to deal with it. I just want you to know that and I think I speak for everybody here, all of the authors here in particular and editors, we know the value that you have to this field. We know the value of the people that were left off and supposedly ineligible on that ballot, and it's abominable, and I hope it leads to change. And I'm sorry that happened, and you would win my award, all right?
Don't
that's
mince
worth.
words. How do you really feel?
That pissed me off. Like, anyway, I won't get into it any further about the location of the world kind of begin with. Anyway, never mind. I was really angry to see that. So yes, ridiculous. But regardless, congratulations on the Ignite and all that stuff. So congratulations also, by the way, to the BSFA long list folks too, because I saw that was going out there. And they apparently are running something competently, so that's nice.
Including, which anyway. I think will be of great delight to Jennifer Brozak, Wole Talabi is nominated for 5 categories, I think.
Yes. Wole. Oh my God. I'm so pleased.
Yeah.
Yep. And a lot of
short stories, a non-fiction thing, a novel thing. It's rad.
I'm still savoring his novel because I don't want to finish it.
and multiple for the BSFA, multiple Athos Arts. If I can speak for one of my publishers, like multiple Athos Arts nominations too for Pluralities and Rosalind's Sisters and Embroidered Worlds and all that. So congratulations to Athos as well for being longlisted. That's good stuff. So sorry, folks, for the disruption. There was just a bunch of things going on. Okay, so right. So other than the fever dream of, the campaign's over, which is not true. Now we return to the reality of the situation. Okay, so yes, you were talking, I think, John, to Ilarion.
So basically, they don't try to, pressure.
Actually, I do want to say one thing to Mia Tantan before you start.
Okay.
I will actually go and sit next to him, and I will say, your house will be there, and they will want to talk to you, probably alone.
He's still muttering, but he stops for a moment, and it's probably Baron Jorlath.
Probably. I just wanted to put that thought in your head while we're doing this.
He's not a nice man.
No. I don't know who I'll be meeting up from my house. And then I will get up.
He goes back to just muttering incantations and mathematical formulae.
Okay.
Rutabaga, 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 rutabaga.
Rutabaga.
Yeah, exactly.
A little bit of watermelon here and there.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely. So, so Ilarion, we can do this in their room, someone else's room. They doesn't really care. But it's the other 3 of us, Rowan, Nisiana, Marame, and Halar. Important to have Halar there too. And just says, I just want to be clear that we should discuss what we're comfortable telling the Institute and not telling the Institute. In regards to the Oracle, oh, you know what? Stu should also be there too. Well, no, not yet. We'll go to him after. I said, so they say in regards to the Oracle, I almost don't have an issue telling them everything we've done with it. From the first time we recovered it over at the bazaar to the undead house to the whole thing. I think in this instance, letting them know how it's supposed to work or how it did work for us, supposed to or not, I think can only hopefully help us find a way to destroy it at some point or neutralize. Let's use the word neutralize. Should it be necessary?
Rowan immediately raises a hand.
Okay, it's a democratic council. You can talk. You don't need to be signaled to speak.
Counterpoint. How about no?
Are you going to elaborate on that answer or that reply?
We just learned that we have one of two very dangerous, very talkative objects, the creator of which has confirmed are indestructible by any obvious means. Do they even need to know that we still have it? Perhaps it's actually a bad idea to continue letting people know that the first Oracle is still in play at all. We can tell them about the other one, because the other one is in the hands of our enemies anyway. Although even some of what it can do is probably not the Institute's business. But what we know, what we have, the more people know it, the more enemies we are likely to make if people keep spreading that news.
We're heading for what is basically the scientific version of, is there a true neutral country on the continent of Corvair?
There are areas that you might consider like neutral in the sense that anyone who goes in there is going to get torn up anyway, like the demon wastes.
That wasn't quite what I was going for.
Yeah. Like, I mean,
I'm looking for this version.
Where is Switzerland?
Exactly.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
No, to compared to like for Breland, yes, and specifically not even Karnath, because like. So yes, Karnath is neutral. The Emerald Claw would not be neutral, but the Emerald Claw, as we pointed out, is a terrorist organization. But the Institute of 12, in particular, within Karnath, is even more, neutral / vaguely positive, especially because of the dragon-marked houses. Like, they just, like the dragon-marked houses, all of them fund the Institute. So it has a lot of money and a lot of resources associated with not getting harmed. So, yes,
okay.
Relatively speaking.
All right, Alarion
yes.
looks at Merime and says, Merime and Nisian says, the message said they had information about and also wanted information on the Oracle, correct? So they already know it exists. That's the impression I got from it. Do you agree?
It's a big Oracle and it's back to its full size. Like, have they not seen it? Like, do they not know? And Arv, I'm asking you to, like, are they not aware that we have the Oracle? Have they not seen it at all?
The Institute doesn't. Well,
no. It seems likely that the Institute probably figures that you possess the Oracle of War. Because Sol Ring, remember, is the creator of the Oracle of War, and the Institute has like great respect for / knowledge of Sol Ring. So. They probably do. Again, the Institute, to specify, not Karnath proper. So it's the Institute that's calling you in, not Karnath. So.
Yeah, I feel, and I say this, thank you, Arv. I say this to Ilarion. I feel like Sol Ring has probably discussed its inner workings with everyone on the bridge by now. He was so excited to tell us about the Oracle of Bones.
So the simple fact is, this is way, way over our heads, and we need help. We cannot. Are we going to carry this around and just run around the continent being chased by everyone until we all die? No, and this is directly at Rowan, by the way. We have to get some help with this. We have to enlist allies. We cannot keep shouldering this burden ourselves until the Lord of Blades turns us into mincemeat.
I I perfectly understand where you're coming from, friend. Friends are ideal at this moment. My worry is, as has been indicated over the last several nights, we keep increasing the number of our enemies before actually asking the question of who our friends are. Perhaps we need to put people in positions of earning our trust before we start giving it away.
Okay, that's fair.
Actually, that is we should find out what they want to know before we volunteer the information. However, I would like to point out something. Most likely we will be asked to go after the Oracle of Bones and the Lord of Blades because we are the ones who have survived the encounter. And we know the Argon. And we have somewhat used the Oracle of War. And would you trust that thing with anybody else?
I would trust Flamewind with it.
Flamewind has already said that our own destinies seem to be intertwined with that of the Oracle.
They've already tried to kidnap Flamewinds by taking off the top of the house that she was in.
That was not the question that was asked. You asked, would I trust anyone else with the Oracle?
Okay.
I gave
All
you
right,
my answer.
I will amend that. Do I trust that they wouldn't immediately take her and the Oracle afterwards?
Fair. That
Okay.
anyone who is in its vicinity becomes a target, obviously.
But I think Rowan is right. We do need not necessarily make them prove themselves, but we want to know what they want before we just
Agreed. And I'm absolutely with you on that particular point. And it is a very valid point.
As an aside, just speaking as, again, someone who hasn't been a member of this motley crew nary 2 weeks, do you all want to be in a position to ask other people what they can do for you at least once?
That's why
Instead
we
of
have
just...
you. That's why we need you.
Fair enough.
But
As long as we all agree on what our needs are,
Yeah,
of course, at the time.
And that is what I think Ilarion is asking. So
I mean, there is the obvious answer. There is one obvious question that needs to be answered. Given that we don't know how to destroy an oracle, does anyone other than us have any ideas about what else can be done with it to avoid this from happening again?
probably the council.
the verse, Flamewind told us, yes, that the verse would unravel, that we needed to understand the draconic prophecy, that its fate was in our hands, and also that what keeps things safe are the people who keep it. And I think that last one is particularly of interest considering the conversation that we're having right now. And Rowan might in fact be the reason that you became interwoven with us because we needed your perspective to keep it safe.
What you need is a large hole, but...
Yes, more shatter spells that work against the Oracle. Believe me, I have considered
You know
it.
what? We could ask the Council of 12 for a giant bag of holding.
An
Can it
easier
hurt?
way to... Mm-hmm.
Fair.
I mean, it's just
Secondary question. How safe is this place?
this place being the ship or this place we are going.
The place that we're going.
I look at Hilar.
Hilar shrugs and he says, well, assuming we can find any place in Corvair safe given what we've been through, he said, you saw for yourself the power that they were able to bring in teleporting those people back to salvation and us on the ship. I can't think of a place that would be more secure than this. Even the Lord of Blades would have a hard time breaking through, at least right now. And with all the dragon-marked houses being involved on top of it, I don't think you have to worry about something getting in from the outside. Now, whether the people inside, how they feel, like I said before, it is a bit of a risk, but also a reward.
If one of the things that we can get from them is the security of the Oracle we have, that would be ideal. But I'd like to not, instead, have dozens of people who cannot keep a thing secure die for our sake. So that's a question that we'd also need to have answered.
And Halar nods. He says, I think that's fair enough.
Because, I mean, the consequences, they'll take the Oracle anyway. And then people will be dead. So maybe not ideal.
Right. But at least this way we get it away from the other ones down on the ground who have their own interest in it. It's certainly not in their interest to have the Oracle fall into the hands of other people that could use it against them. At least the Institute of 12 is going to be interested in it to study it on a magical basis, but not interested in it to wage war against anybody else who they do it for. They've got funding, remember, from all the nations.
Mm-hmm.
So how about this as a compromise then, Illyrian? We tell them what we can tell them, up until the point where we feel like we've learned the things we need to learn that will assure us whether it's valuable to let them know that we have an oracle, or what our plans with that oracle is.
I'm comfortable with taking the stance of trying to find out what they want first. So in that, we are in agreement. It's a very good point that we must be cautious. Absolutely. So we can not be standoffish, but I think reserved would be the term I would use in our dealings with them at first, until we can ascertain what their desires are, what they're looking for. And then, as you have all stated, we decide what we want to share with them. I think that is a very good idea.
Understood.
I, of course, will not be doing much talking during the first part of this.
Perhaps
Grand.
Rowan and Halar.
How did I highly suspect that that was gonna happen, and I immediately kind of just crumple into depression?
I do not even have a silver tongue to be so eloquent.
Or
Luckily, we
Meredith
have someone
and
who
you
does.
together, mind
could help.
linked.
We could
Oh,
work together on them.
We will all be mind linked every step of the way, every minute we are there.
Fair enough. I
Well,
guess I
we're
haven't
within
swindled an entire room full of people in quite some time.
Well, if we have to swindle the most powerful scientific group in the world that I know of, I guess you're up to the challenge?
I've done worse.
Yes, but I want you to do better.
Do I have to?
Kinda.
Well, if we're all in agreement then, I guess we should get this show on the road, as they say.
And assuming that everyone's in agreement with that, after probably, again, not even maybe a day's flying, the fortress city of Korth comes into view. And it strikes all of you that probably nowhere outside the Mournland does the last war seem as close as it does when you see the endless crenellated towers and the countless ballistas and the sturdy walls of the Karnathi capital. If the final blows of the last war had landed anywhere, you suspect that they might have landed here on this city, would have been the last one to fall. Perhaps more impressive than the fortress city itself, though, is the 13-tiered tower which is floating above it. Gleaming and imposing with arcs of lightning sizzling across and around it, the Tower of the 12, as it is known, is a wondrous display of the dragon-marked house's power and longevity. And the Cyberus sailor slides expertly into dock halfway up one of the tower's spires. As the crew secure her, robed figures meet you at the gangplank, and they escort you to the Chamber of the 12. And when you are brought in here, you enter a lecturing pit at the center of a great hall. Around you there are a dozen boxes, each of them marked with a dragon-marked house's crest, and each occupied by its own representatives. Particularly of note, I think, to the people here would be that sitting up in the box that is marked for House Jarasco, Nisiana, is a female halfling noble. And you can see that she looks down at you. She has sort of this lustrous, curly brown hair and is looking down at you with not, I would not say like, like sort of arrogance, like, who are you? But just sort of like very much trying to get a read on all of you. And of course, seems to be particularly interested in you. This is Baron Ulara di Jarasco. And Baron Ulara, you may or may not, you'd have to tell me, Nisiana, but Baron Ulara has not been to Sharn very much, if at all. Baron Ulara spends much of her time here.
Wait, Ulara, this is the leader?
Yes.
This is my aunt 2 times removed?
Yes. So I was going to say, I don't know that you've ever met her, though, because she doesn't come to Sharn much. You would have to tell me if she has.
You know what? I'm going to say that I met her as a wee lass.
Okay.
When I started showing.
She's imposing, like, and so, yeah. So that's exactly who it is. And she looks pretty much exactly as you remember, Nisiana. You are not that way, but she doesn't seem to have aged at all. And she kind of
healthy living,
looks down at you. Yeah, that's right.
Can I say that in the intervening time, Marimé has prestidigitated all of us so that we aren't covered in blood and dust.
Oh yeah,
and
no, we're all clean.
Of the war that we just went through. I mean, we're still tattered and shit, but
I very gently clean Tantin as well. Yeah, no, I am. Consider yourselves always clean. Don't mess with that.
I definitely actively changed clothes.
Yeah, and they have, by the way, this kind of like the clothes that they have available to offer you are these sort of kind of blue, sort of almost a indigo almost, but very light and airy clothing that seems both sort of warm but also not restrictive at all. Like it just, you feel very almost, I don't want to say the term magical, but you feel like very sort of elegant. Maybe that's the way to put it. Dressed up.
I don't think I would have put that on.
You don't have to.
It's not
It's
my
up to you.
style.
No, it's up to you.
no.
There's not enough ribbons. Ooh, but perhaps I would have adorned them with
I
ribbons.
mean, I was going to say, but no, you're obviously not obligated to do that. Good night, Hilness. You're not obligated to wear it, of course, but that's available to anyone who wants. Actually, just out of curiosity, who does put it on? Those ones on.
I don't wear clothes, so
Yeah,
not
Larian
me.
wouldn't. I get it.
I don't see me a Tantin getting out of his stuff once it's cleaned. I think we
Okay.
all basically say thank you, no thank you,
no thank you.
except
Okay.
for Halar.
Fair
Maybe
enough.
Halar's the one who's like, all right, I'll be the diplomatic one and wear what's given to,
Yeah, I think, and that's right. And actually, so which is the first time that any of you have ever seen Halar out of his sort of usual like duster and stuff that he wears. Like this is unusual for him. And so you see that, and then Tantin, I think as you were all looking around at this sort of this group here, sort of looking down upon the group of you, you look over to the House Cannith's booth. And in the House Cannith's booth, you see several representatives, actually. There is a male human, probably middle-aged, salt pepper beard, who is described, there's a little sign in front that describes him as Igabin de Cannith. So there's him. There is also a female human who seems younger, maybe in her 30s, if you had to guess, but younger somewhat, whose name identifies her as Sophie de Cannith. And you could tell me whether you've met either Igabin or Sophie before. Sophie probably not, because Sophie wouldn't have ever been here. Igabin might have been to Sharn once in a while, but you might or might not have seen him around, type of thing, I would imagine. But I have a suspicion that you will certainly know the last one, because standing behind them and sort of standing up and looking down is a person that even those of you from, say, Nisiana might have heard of this person. He is a male human, imposing, tall, with red and golden robes marked with the dragons of the house. You are unquestionably, Tanton, looking at Baron Merrix de Cannith. And of course, you know Merrix exceedingly well. And Merrix is just sort of gazing at you, Tanton, and like, not angrily, but is very much trying to like, sort of just like looking at you for any reaction at all. And you've obviously been through it. So I don't know how much of this is coming through to you. Like at this point, probably some of it is, right? Like, I mean, you okay.
Yeah.
So, and you all notice that like, he's very much like, Merrix is very much like occupied, like looking at Tanton. And then the other dragon marked houses are around as well. But those in particular are there as you're looking at them. And in fact, the committee all stands at one point, and the hall falls silent. And there is just sort of a moment's pause, and then at some sort of prearranged and unheard signal, they all nod, and all of them sit, except for Baron Merrix, who looks down. He's in sort of like the center of the houses there, and he says, "Welcome. We have been..." Oh no, I need a little bit of echo for this. It's a hall, right?
A hall. Yeah.
Welcome. We have been briefed on your exploits, but it is important we hear the truth of things from you directly. Please tell us who you are. And he says this like looking like dead at Tanton. Where did you find the Oracle of War? And what can you tell us about its relationship to the Draconic prophecy?
Oh, he definitely gets right to the point.
And then they fall silent, and Hilar steps forward and says, "It is my great honor to address the Institute of 12. But I think the people best suited to speak about this are the ones who were there when it happened. These 5 that you see, 4 of them discovered the oracle. The other now knows it quite well. I'd ask you to listen to what they have to say, and then we would request the assistance of the Institute of 12, because actions have moved very quickly." And then he takes a step back, and he sort of, at this point, any of the 5 of you could step forward to speak about what you want to say about the oracle. And I know you had a discussion about this, so.
I turn to Merime awkwardly, shrug, and step forward. And then the first thing that I'm gonna do is I would like very, very much to do a general perception check about the vibe. Well, probably a wisdom check, actually. Well, no, this is perception, yeah. I want to get a vibe for the atmosphere of this room.
Okay.
Like, you know how in TV legal dramas when the lawyer steps towards the jury box and is obviously looking for the most pliable person in the jury box? That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Okay. And you... Oh, you know what I'm trying to wonder now is whether Rowan knows Baron Merrix? I guess not.
Probably by name. We've never,
by name. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you can do that. So you probably, and I mean there are a number of others that I can describe for you for the different houses if you want, but
can I do insight instead?
Yes, that's right. Go ahead and make an insight check.
Yeah.
As before you do it, I just kind of brush your arm and give you guidance.
Are you like,
D4.
I believe in you? That type of thing.
D4.
Okay.
Okay, it was already at 18.
Well,
Okay.
okay.
So I'll let you hold on to that.
Okay.
Do you have any advantages because of your
I don't think I
observant?
get. I don't think observant gives me. It gives me a +5 bonus to passive, with the passive perception and investigation, but
Okay.
insight is just.
Just making sure.
Yeah, but I already have so much expertise in insight that it's actually better that I did it that way anyway.
Okay. So as you are looking around to try to gather this information, as you're looking around to try to gather this sense of it, you have a bunch of different ones that are associated, you would say, Rowan, with people that know things, like as far as like there. Okay, let me phrase it this way. There are a bunch of them that you think could maybe be sympathetic to what it is you had to say, or more sort of amenable. But the one that stands out to you in particular is one that is over on the sort of left side of the room. And you can see that it is what is clearly an elf who is sitting in the box. And it is an elf who is described as Tanith de Fiarlan. Now, Fiarlan, which is Phiarlan, House Fiarlan is an elf dragon-marked house. They are known throughout Corvair, but they do have areas in Brayland and the like. And the reason this is interesting to you, Rowan, is because this particular one seems very fascinated by your story. And you have heard that from the public's point of view, Fiarlan is a house of entertainment. It has bards and actors and artists and acrobats. But the strong rumor among people who know more than what the surface tells, like, for example, wild cards and charlatans, you know the type, the House Fiarlan is actually a house of spies. And those in, for example, the King's Citadel, so, you know, you are in the King's Citadel, Rowan, but obviously you're new to the group. You know this because of the fact that you have had to deal with people from you've had to deal with House Fiarlan before. The four others would know about House Fiarlan because the King's Citadel knows about this group, since you have a little bit of spy in all of you as it is. So yes, they are, you would describe them as very dangerous if they ever chose to just undermine a bunch of the other houses. They're not very large. They don't have the most resources. They don't have the most, obviously, military power or authority or whatever. But if you want a house that is going to be able to specialize in stealth, in deception, in infiltration, in short, Rowan, if you want someone who lived a life not too far away from the one that you lived quite a bit of up into the last few weeks, you could do worse than go to House Fiarlan for your services. And it is this one, Tanith de Fiarlan, who seems particularly amenable to your message. Fascinated by you, in fact.
Okay, this is nice. I love this.
No, the elf is not on a shelf, Prince Justin. What the heck?
Wow.
All right, listen.
So to qualify, I changed into my fine clothes because I'm gonna do Tyrone Morrow things today.
Okay.
And I step forward and I say, "Esteemed friends of the Institute, I, admittedly, am the newest member of this crew. Some of you may have already seen or heard of the exploits of these rather braver friends, the work that they've done to slowly sand away at the edges of the wicked work of the many enemies of this wonderful state. What I can share is, to me, brief, but I think ultimately rather powerful about the state of this situation. And while that's happening, I'm immediately, like, psychically reaching out to Merman going, is this the part where I let them know, first and foremost, that there is a second oracle?
And I'm like near you, but I'm letting you take lead. I'm like, I would distract him from our oracle, that's for sure.
Also, a reminder: Soul Ring is with you, although it's not spoken yet. But
Yeah, you can hand it off to Soul Ring even if you want and just take
no,
us out of the
I didn't mean.
spotlight,
Yeah, I mean
but-
you could do that, but I just
Yeah,
meant
yeah,
like
Yeah.
Eventually, they're probably, I'm breaking here, eventually they're probably going to find out anyways. So,
We are in the company of Solring, the esteemed creator of this once cursed object of which you speak.
There's a bit of murmuring at that.
And upon rescuing him, we were the first and last to discover upon our escape from Razor Crag that the Oracle of War is neither the last nor the strongest of oracles.
And there's a as you say that.
Among the work that now needs to be done is, of course, finding the ways that we may secure the things that we do have while continuing to pursue the threat that looms beyond us. In that vein, we can attest to a great deal of very good work that these lovely folks have already done. The destruction of Razor Crag itself. A number of severe but ultimately not fatal blows to the work of the Lord of Blades. And among some minor victories, that we may continue to fight at all. At which point, what comes before the answer to your question is in fact another more important one. Given what you've just heard, how can we work together towards the destruction of the Oracle of Bones?
So when you say this business of destruction, and by the way, I've put a picture of the Tower of 12 up on stream in case anyone is curious to see what it looks like. So when this is spoken and you hear this sort of murmuring and so on, Merrick says, destruction. It is something which would be of value to remove something like this from the world. And yet, to speak of destruction before we know what the Oracle of War itself has done, and this connection, that is something which we do not know. Solring Moranen. And the dwarf sort of steps forward and bows low and says, I am here, Baron Merrickson, Council of 12. And Merrick says, this one has spoken compellingly of the need to potentially destroy this thing. Before it can be destroyed, it seems to us we must know how it was created and why. And Solring sort of takes a deep breath and he says, I created the Oracle of War, as you know. I did so under contract. And he sort of pauses, looking up, and says, swearing an oath of secrecy I cannot break, unless ordered to by my lieges in the Iron Council of the Mror Holds. But I can tell you this. The device was not made to reveal the mysteries of the draconic prophecy. It has malfunctioned in a most extraordinary manner. And the committee kind of is like, sort of and as it does this, and of course the Oracle, I should have mentioned this before, has been brought before the council. Like it's sitting there, as you're all talking, because they wanted to be looking at it. And suddenly there is a puff of purple smoke and a loud whirring from the Oracle. And the Oracle says, 5 crowns shall fall when the heirs of Arvan hammer the anvils of the lost forge. Merrick's takes a step back.
Yeah,
because
at
as
that point, he just locks eyes with him.
Because as Tanton knows, Arvan is Baron Merrick's son. And that's where we're going to bring our session to a close for today. Yay, the Oracle's back. 5th protocol activated. Just kidding.
Could you put those words in
Yes.
The chat for me, please?
Yes, I will do that. And again, it was, let me write that down, 5.
Well, ain't that grand?
5 crowns shall fall when the heirs of Arvan hammer the anvils of the last forge.
That doesn't sound good.
Last
at all.
forge, just to be noted. Y'all remember there was another forge that they're working on, right? That we talked about?
Yeah,
The-
cool, grand.
Yeah, that's great.
You're glad. You should be glad that you ended it where you did, because if you hadn't, the scene would end with me suddenly raising my pistol at a guy.
Yeah, well, I'm actually fascinated to see. Hey, what's up, Walrun? Yeah, sorry, we do have to come to a close here, but I'm fascinated to actually see how this goes, because is there a bunch going on like there. So we've got Baron Merrick's, which Tanton knows all about, so we got that to deal with. We've got Nisiana's contact from the House Durasco here, who again, aunt twice removed, and then we've also got the Oracle, which has just spoken up and said something. Plus these people are like, I'm sorry, now the Oracle of what now? The Oracle of Bones? What is this thing? And like, how do we? And like, and they're not even doing the council thing of like, Brandon, for Rowan's point of view, they're not even doing the council thing of like, why should we believe you? Like, they're not even doing that. They're like, there may be a compelling reason. And then Sol Ring's like, yeah, but of course I don't know why it's malfunctioning this way. And then it's like, let me give you another draconic prophecy lie. Like, have a bunch of stuff like, that you have to deal with.
This is less like a U.S. special committee and more like the courtroom of a Phoenix Wright game.
Yeah. Exactly. Hold it. Yeah, exactly. And I love, maybe it's just because I'm a dork for stuff like this, but man, the debating pit image with the council people around him, I love the thought of you all in there sort of dealing with that. It's going to be super cool. Yeah, exactly, Critch. It's trying to bring out the hammer of fixing. So there's a lot that this crew is going to have to deal with. And one of the things that we dealt with trauma the last time, and as we move into part 1 here of My Undying Heart,
we inflict it now. Oh, sorry.
Well, now what I'm interested in is, you've obviously dealt with political intrigue before, but this is of a different kind because you're dealing here with people that are international and outside the scope of Brayland, right? Like, this is how do we do stuff that's like at a level of, it's not above politics, obviously, but the point is like it's like dealing with the Jedi Council or something, where it's like they have to think about a bunch of stuff that's like above everything. And I think actually, John, you put it quite well from one point of view, which is it is sort of way over your pay grade. Like it is and it isn't. The King's Citadel is better at dealing with this than anybody else. But at the same time, it's like, what the flip? Like, draconic prophecy and like there's a billion things here to deal with that are both local and immediate, Nisiana's contact, Tanton's contact, but also broader in scope and theoretically could deal with the fate of Eberron. There's a lot going on here, at least the fate of Corvair. So Oh, so juicy. I love this kind of stuff. I love the visual images of this, and I think you all did super well. That I'm excited to see what happens next. I will start at the bottom right of the ziggurat. I'll start with John. Obviously, Ilarion, as you mentioned, is going to sort of keep it a bit quieter here in this, but two things I wanted to note as highlights. One, Mother Johanna's comment to Ilarion about, like, let them know what it is like to deal with the sort of the circumstances of war. That's all very interesting, it seems to me, because, like, it's Ilarion and Mother Johanna have a specific kind of relationship that I think is grown over time. And there's something that Ilarion finds of comfort, it seems to me, or of interest anyway, in the way Mother Johanna conducts things. So I like that. The second thing is, as you said, like trying to figure out what to say to the council and not say, or to, I keep calling them the council, the Institute of 12, what to say to the 12 and not to say, and what to, like, is there safety to be found? Like when Rowan brings up this thing, like, is this okay to do this? And it's like, nowhere is safe, but this is probably safer because these people are sort of not beholden to, any one individual place. So it feels like, as the shield, Alarion's got a lot to worry about in terms of how many directions can I protect people from, basically. So there's a lot of that, it seems to me, that must be going through Alarion's head as we speak. How'd you feel about today's session? Where will the fine folks find you next?
Of course, it was always fascinating, especially the ones where there was die roll, and that was friend 50-50 whether he'd come join us or not, which I thought was hilarious. And I do myself. I will make checks to see if Ilarion will do this or that, depending on whatever's going on. It's always great. The role-playing ones are fantastic. And yes, there's the point they said about we need help shouldering this burden is absolutely true. Yes, we're the King's Citadel and we're badass and this, that, and the other. We're also 5 friggin' people on a continent with entire cults and nations and enemy armies trying to come after us. So, and Ilarion, in their time here, is well aware of when it's time to try at least to get reinforcements. Now, the conversation that we all had was great because it put them in a great mindset, and what Rowan said was absolutely true. Like, well, let's not just rush in and blah, vomit everything up there.
Yeah.
Being a little more cagey and taking a like Larry said, a more reserved stance, I think, was a good idea. Absolutely. But yes, it's, we just step, on one hand, they agree with Rowan that we're stepping deeper and deeper into it, but there's nothing else we can do at this point. The events are going to start coming to a head. The Lord of Blades is going to start making their next move. If that thing is true and the Lord of Blades is his son, Ermagerd, that's going to be some interesting conversations. So it was fantastic. The next session is going to be even crazier. I can hardly wait. Should be great. Unfortunately, the Packers season came to an end.
I know. I just saw the score. They barely lost, though.
It came down to the final 30 seconds.
Oh, man.
And unfortunately, our field goal kicker missed a field goal that would have tied it and sent it into overtime at least. So that was a little disappointing, but great season. They're going to be amazing next year. It's going to be unreal. So this was a blast. Can't wait for the next one. And I don't mind hanging back at times and watching the others do their thing, because there are things Larry's good at. There's things they know they're not good at. And if the time comes where they have to speak, well, we'll see what happens. But can't wait for the next session.
It's going to be good stuff. Thank you, John. Good work tonight. And moving on up the line, Jen, there's going to be some interesting times coming for Nisihana also, because of course that's exactly right. The fact that you have now seen this person when you were like, wait, is that the person? I'm like, with the 2 twice removed, like, so that's going to lead to some very interesting things. I mean, you will have to tell me a little bit about what only you can know, the sort of feelings that you had towards this person. But the fact that you would have seen her when you were very young, she is kind of this legendary figure a little bit. And so whatever interactions you have with her, I think, are going to be very interesting. Beyond that, there's also the question of, this has all gotten way more complicated, right? And so there's and by the way, I should note to everybody, also people watching in chat, we're at level 11 now. So these are people who are entering the tier 3 level of characters. And in a tier 3 character group, at that point, you're dealing with big nation sweeping stuff, right? Like, so, and it's not surprising then that the situation and circumstances have grown more complicated, but these folks have also grown with it and will be able to I think can handle it. We will see if that's true. But so Jen Nisiana's got a lot to deal with and think about there, I guess. And also at the beginning had to think about dealing with Tantan's trauma. And so there's the question of Tantan's trauma. There's the question of how to sort of hold and heal the group together. And then there's also the, oh my God, now I'm in the middle of this thing and oh, I know this person as well. So what were your feelings about today? What did you think about today, and where will the fine folks find you next?
Well, one of the actual hardest moments for Nisiana was when Mother Johanna was kind to her and Rowan. Because when you have trauma, which she has gone through, and you're not dealing with it, and somebody says, "Are you okay? Are you thinking about yourself?" That, like when I lost my parents, if somebody said, "Are you okay?" The answer was no. No, I'm not. And sometimes I would burst into tears, or I would just shove it all down. And so I was channeling that into her, just like dealing with war for the first time. So I thought that was, she has a different perspective on Mother Johanna before, but she also still is absolutely certain that Mother Johanna was put in her path because all things serve Eberron. And we are where we need to be, doing what we need to do. She has that faith. Now, how they've gone about it, she still feels a little guilty playing the whole great lady thing that she did early on, being like, my aunt is the head of this house, and and she's just out, she's thinking about all those things, but at the same time also she's fulfilling a duty for the house. As for Tantan, she's worried because he has a temper on him, and he's angry, and he's grieving, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. So there's a lot there, and she's leaning on her sister to just just be her rock. It was a quiet pathos. Now, at the same time, also on the ship, she would have been up as she could have. She would have been up on the bridge to watch, because that stuff fascinates her, and she wants to keep the joy of life. She's not dealing with her trauma right now. She's not gonna. At some point, maybe when all this is done, or she's dead, one or the other. Yeah, she'll deal with it. But for now, she is thinking very hard of what she's going to tell her house, especially her role within the house, which is the house agent. So, yeah, that's where I'm doing. But where you will see, I don't know when we're going to play next. We haven't set those dates, but for those of you who like the Buffy RPG, I am playing in a limited mini-series called the Broken Hearts Club. It will start on February 13th on the Shadows of Nox RPG Twitch channel, and will run for 5 nights. And if you want a sneak peek, we created a mixtape. It's set in 2005, after Sunnydale has become a crater. And it's in the same area, just across the freeway. So if you want to know some of the music that the main characters are all playing, I'm playing the psychic of the group, who just sort of knows things. She just came into it. She doesn't know anything. She doesn't know what she's doing, and things are very weird right now. So you guys might enjoy this. It's like a little mini series of playing teenagers in danger in the Buffy universe, trying to solve a big bad. So there's that. And the other thing is, again, my passion project. I don't send out very much email until it actually goes live. So if you just want to be told when this will go live, this is where you sign up for it. And if you want snail mail, real snail mail for a year from me personally, this is how you get it. So That's what I've got. I do hope we are gonna play soon again because oh my God.
Yeah, I've listened. I'm very pleased with how the campaign is rolling along. So I second your feeling. But thank you, Jen. Good stuff. As always. Brandon, Rowan got the chance to, first of all, speak for the group. And one of the things I thought was interesting here was I felt, and I don't know how you feel about this, that during the conversation you had on the ship, the feeling was, as you were sort of bringing these things up, there was a moment where you said something to the effect of, like, wait, counterpoint, I don't know, what about this? And you're going through things, and you and Ilarion are going back and forth. And at one point you said something relating to what, like, who was going to be able to speak for the group in a particular way. And Nisiana's response was, well, that's what we have you for. That's why we need you, I think was the specific term. And the thing I thought was interesting about that was that your response, Rowan's response to that was fair enough, which was an interesting, almost, how do I put this? An acceptance, right? Like, I mean, yes, on one hand, you're like, oh man, I'm going to have to do this and blah, 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 blah. But there was also an acceptance of, like, the group clearly feels that Rowan is a huge part of what they're doing in specific ways that the others don't have, right? Like, each of you bring unique things to the table, and Rowan's ability to bring unique stuff to the table in regards to how he deals with other people, even if Rowan imagines that as, how do I swindle a whole room, which is the way that you phrased it at the end. That's very interesting to me, that there was almost a little bit of a slight shift in the relationship between Rowan and the rest of the group relative to Rowan's acceptance of his position within it, if that makes any sense. Again, that may not be accurate, and you can feel free to correct me, but I just noticed that a little bit, in addition to the fact that you were also like, what about, who are we, maybe we shouldn't tell them about the Oracle, like, can we trust these people? So it just felt very much like the point-counterpoint stuff was not coming from we are stretched to the breaking point, I'm really pissed off at everybody here that, could have been there, but was rather coming from we have to strategize to do this, we are over our heads. Are these the people that we know are over, like, are these the people to tell that we are over our heads or not? And that conversation sort of created or engendered a bit of a shift between you and the rest of the group, it seemed to me, which I thought was really cool. I don't know if you felt that was true as well, but you tell me, what did you think about today's session, and where will the folks find you next?
Mm-hmm. So that was a very interesting observation for Rowan, and I do think that there is a kind of, like, discovery that was also happening for Nisiana there as well, in saying that was a thing that Nisiana knew that was true, but was also confirming, hey, are you actually going to be helpful here or not?
Yeah.
Which I appreciated. But, like, it plays very interestingly with a kind of dichotomy that I was kind of referring to when I made that statement, which is, all of you are being earnest all the time for people who keep asking you for shit, and then leaving you in the morning to die, and then calling you the next morning and going, did you do the thing yet? Can we? No, you're all suffering. Okay, we'd like to ask you to do more things. I'm like, come on, please, this is not good. This is not good. You should stop throwing yourself away for these people. And then Nisiana asks me this, and the switch turns in my brain from, I should have empathy for people who are giving their all for other people, to, this is my opportunity to be wicked again. Because, like, a lot of how I imagine Rowan as a character is, like, that saying, never con an honest John?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, the thing that sticks to me about how Rowan interacts with people is, he constantly believes that other people are not being earnest. So that the only way that you can actually interact with most people is by swindling them, because everybody has an angle. And now I'm surrounded by people who don't have angles. I'm like, okay, now that I know that all of you are genuine, this is screwed up, and you're all gonna die if you all continue doing this.
Almost like you really mean it, right? Like, you're like, oh no, you're serious.
Here we
like,
are.
You really?
Sometimes in spite of ourselves.
You're
We need some
serious.
help
Y'all walk
protecting
in and out of
ourselves.
the Mon. Y'all walk in and out of the Monland for free on a regular basis, and then people just kind of call y'all out of the blue and go, "So we see that you didn't win the war for us. Do you want to keep fighting?" I'm like, "Homie, this is not ideal." And then Nisiana goes, "What? That's what you need. That's what we need you for." I'm like, "Oh, you need a bad guy. Cool, grand. I can do this for you easy."
I don't know if I was saying exactly that, but
I love that that's how Rowan picks up on it, though. Like, are you
Yeah,
saying you
yeah.
need me to cheat someone for you? You know, like,
okay, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you mightn't know it, but you're not wrong. So now I'm prepared to turn on, like, this is 100% a hustle from this point onward. My goal is to get the Institute to start doing shit for y'all instead of the other way around. So yeah, that's what I'm very much looking forward to seeing this as blanket permission from Nisiana de Jarasco to constantly be cruel to other people in the interest of performing your goals. So that's gonna be delightful.
That's not what I said. Oh, God.
Unleash
I'm
the
allowed to do this because
monster.
Nisiana told me, the whole Institute was.
Yeah.
Like, staring down.
I will go out of my way to name drop you if anybody ever asks me any questions. I am letting you know now.
Okay.
Luciana told me to do this. Like, literally taking money out, literally taking gold coins out of people's pockets. Nisiana
Oh
told me
God,
to do
this will be hilarious.
Like, spotlight just on Nisiana, like the whole room goes dark, just like, just, you know.
I'm like, I didn't say
Yeah?
that.
We will just, like, randomly cut in an episode to Nisiana and you as GM will narrate, and this was the moment when she knew. She fucked up. So yeah, I am, after everything that has gone on from last session up to the beginning of the session, I'm very much excited to just take those reins back off and start, like, moving high speed towards being wicked. So that's going to be delightful. As for me, Brandon O'Brien, you can find me almost everywhere on the internet at The Rising Tides. I am in an actual play series on twitch.tv/Arclight Court called Arcanites, a Power Rangers actual play. Our next session is literally this coming Monday. It is wild as hell. My character, Marsha Ambrose, asked my mother, who is the CEO of a paramilitary organization, if we could borrow some of their soldiers to defend Angel Grove.
Nice.
From imminent war. So that's going to be delightful whenever that happens. I do other things. All of those things escape me, except for Grey Shade. A reminder to everybody, ! Grey Shade in chat. I am very excited to see what this book finally looks like when I actually put more of the words in the thing.
It's looking good, though. Yeah.
We are this close to actually, and I will just let you all know right now because I know that some of y'all will be excited to do the thing. At some point, very, very soon, we are gonna be open for playtesting. When that happens, we would like for people to look at the thing and go, hey, this is bad. Please fix it. So we can fix it because we
Well,
trust you.
I don't know about bad. This needs
no,
adjustment.
no.
Hey, this is awful.
but-
What do you think?
No.
But what I mean, of course,
No, I'm
is
joking,
I'm very
I'm joking.
excited for people to finally get a look at some of the early some of the early stuff that we have mechanically for the game, so they can run it, so they can tell us what it looks like when they read it, so they can share their feelings, so we can get better at the final product, because we really want that to happen as soon as possible. So yes, please, if you are not supporting Grey Shade already, you should. And if you have friends who haven't read the books yet, you should fix that for those friends, because the books are rad. So yeah, that's me.
Thank you. I'm honored. Good stuff as always, Brandon. Marie, really interesting stuff out of Merame as well. In part because I'm really interested to see how as Merame is sort of navigating this. I mean, a lot of people are just kind of like, I need the connection for Merame, but I felt like Merame here, at least in this episode, was doing a lot of sort of like, was kind of in the Venn diagram, like in the in-between intersecting areas of the Venn diagram with, with Hilar and thinking about the sort of military associations, with thinking about the trauma and stuff that Tantan might have experienced, with thinking about, the message that Nisiana conveys to her, which Merime sends along to Hilar. Like it felt like there were a lot of sort of in-between things here to consider. And now, of course, Merime is also facing this more with the Draconic Prophecy. And every time the Draconic Prophecy gets involved, Merime obviously has this sort of resonance with that because of the way in which her dreams have interpreted some of these aspects, some of which have come true, so to speak, as a part of this. So I'm very curious to see how Merime addresses all of that in this dual desire to be grounded, but then, as you've said last time, also coming to terms more with her dream heritage and sort of becoming more comfortable, I guess, with being able to access that aspect of her. So both of those things happen more when you got more Draconic Prophecy stuff going on. So how did you feel about today's session yourself, and where will the fine folks find you next?
I had a lot of fun, of course. This was great. It was good to see like everyone's role play as always. It's interesting because when I built Merime, I wanted to do a bard who was both melee, so it was a bit different, and also one who wasn't necessarily the face. Like, she can talk and she can win you over. That's not a problem, but she tends to be okay
Yeah.
keeping an eye out,
Yeah.
like doing that. And I thought so that comes into play, and it's interesting. She enjoyed Rowan's performance before the Institute. She was ready to step in and help, but he was doing a great job and she was having fun. She enjoyed the little, chat they had together. So that was good. And she also, while on the ship, was busy composing some songs about the Brailish soldiers. So she is, remembering those little moments, those little details.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, it was good. It was a fun session. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. I'm curious to see where it'll go, and I'm curious to see where Merime will go as well, and where she'll go from here, from someone who really wanted to keep away from the visions to someone who's slowly getting more closer to her heritage, simply to be able to save her people, her friends, and her sister, and so it'll be interesting. I'm really, really curious to see where it'll go. I'm sure I'll be fine.
Oh yeah, I mean, no problem.
You're right, Tantan's gonna be great. There's no problem there.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a hiccup. Just a slight hiccup.
He'll be good. She has faith in her friends. And their trauma, but she's there. She's playing soft. If he liked her music, which I don't actually know if Tantan ever showed any interest in any of it, she would have gently been playing music in the background to his mutterings, perhaps in time with his mutterings. Mutterings accompanied by music.
And the song "The Artificer's Mutterings" went to the top of the charts.
It's very, very popular.
Oh man, that's funny.
So next, I'm looking forward to being back here. You can also find me on February the 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern. I will be on a reading series called Strong Women, Strange Worlds. Should be a lot of fun. It's like a quick read, so I'm doing an 8-minute read of Oathbreaker. I will have a gift for everyone who comes, as will a lot of the authors there.
Nice.
There are going to be 6 of us. I know one of them, Arlene Marks, who is an amazing author and quite a lot of fun as well. So hopefully I will see you there. It should be a fun event. I'm looking forward to it. I am planning treats and surprises.
That's good. Is that, you said on, like, live online? Where?
Yeah, I will share it, and I believe you can watch it. You can sign up. Like right now, they only have, they have the pre-registration for upcoming events.
Okay.
And then I think it's streamed straight to YouTube.
Okay, cool.
So I think it should be pretty easy to watch and enjoy. Or if not, it's like in a Zoom webinar. Anyways, go register. It'll be fun. Come hang out.
Okay, very cool.
Put little heart emojis wherever there are heart emojis available. Do that.
Very, very cool. Thank you, Marie. Good stuff as always. And last but certainly not least, so Tren, Tantan spent a lot of this one, Sir not appearing in this picture. There's a lot of Tantan was sort of checked out because of what he was dealing with. But I was really, this is why I was wondering. I was like, this is great stuff, but I really hope he's recovered enough to have a reaction by the time we get to the end. Because I knew when we started getting this stuff with like Merrick's, and I was like, Aaron, I was just waiting. You always thought you're like, this was delicious. Like, that was delicious for me. I'm like, I cannot wait to see where you're like, God damn it. Like, because I could almost tell you were just like, it's him, isn't it? It's Merrick. Yeah. That's great. That's great. And so that was worth the price of admission by itself. But also, it's portraying a victim who's dealing with that experience of trauma, which as you described it, is like going through it and then going almost in this catatonic state and trying to come out on the other side of it. Which one of the sort of people that are trying to make you feel better about it, or at least just being with you in your grief, I don't know that you could break it down to just one, but everyone in their own way was trying to give you, as Nisiana put it, space to grieve, like was giving you that, but was also with you as you went through it, which we got from Rowan, and was also sort of reaching out to kind of, give a hand. Ilar even was doing some of that. You had Mother Johanna in particular as well. So it felt like there was a great deal of that early on, and that, of course, is going to be an ongoing process as the trauma is literally processed. And then there was this, which interestingly is a reminder of some of the things that led to what that carousel was upsetting you about, right? Because the fall of Seer and the mourning happens because of the war. And it happens because of people like this who were in control of the House of Making and who were dealing with all this. So now that you've had that experience of actually seeing it, I don't know if it'll change the way Tanton imagines his own role, but it's got to do something in terms of resonating differently or I don't know, more powerfully or something with him than it would have before he had that experience. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see how the reaction happens going forward with those connections with those people that we just mentioned. So how did you feel about today's session? What do the fine folks find you next?
Well, first of all, me too. I'm interested to see how
Yeah.
he reacts, because I got no clue just yet.
Yeah.
But when the fall of Seer happened, he was in Sharn, so he heard about it. But I think I said this last time, that it wasn't really, it was real. He knew people weren't lying about it. He knew it was real, but it didn't become solid for him until he was on the merry-go-round.
Yeah.
And I think part of, again, yeah, you can't really narrow it down to which of the people had the most impact in kind of helping him pull things back together. But he's done it before. When he first heard about it and got the reports and saw the Gazette, with the reports of it and everything. And, he basically just does what he always does. He threw himself into his work and just buried it and used that to just like almost go completely Spock, undergoing the Kolinar discipline to just shove the emotion down until he can find a way around dealing with it, and then this just burst it all back open again. And so honestly, being on the ship and being able to pull himself back into,
I love that sequence. You looking up at the thing with the circle and murmuring phrases to you, like as Marie was just talking about with Maramé with the music. I love that image of you looking up at that. It was cool.
That's part of what allowed him to kind of not put a collar around the trauma, but to kind of leash it and push it down. Because he's not dealing with it yet, but he pushed it down far enough that his logical mind can say, "You shut up and wait. I have stuff to do." And then once they get into the hall and he sees Merrick's. And the part about this that was just, I was waiting, because if Tanton had spoken before we got to the end of the thing, I was fully prepared for him to say, "By the way, your son says hello."
Yeah.
And I was waiting for that moment, and then the Oracle basically brings it up for me. And
Right?
I was like,
I wanted you to go over and high five the Oracle like in the trumpet, like
through the purple smoke. Woo! Yeah, but that's why I made sure I was like, he just locks eyes with Merrick's like, "You guys, is your fault." Because while pretty much everybody, maybe not House Jurasco, but pretty much everybody has at least a pinky in what happened.
Because the last war isn't that old. We're
Right.
talking like a decade ago.
6 years ago.
Or 6 years actually specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like decades ago in the time.
6 years
whatever.
ago is when the mourning happened. But
Yeah, but the war came to an end pretty fast after that.
Yeah,
You know, because everyone's like, oh crap. But
Yeah.
this is a recent war. Like so yeah.
I mean, all of us have memories of it. So
Yeah.
you know, it's like, ugh.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just, yeah, like you said, it's just delicious. Just, I love it. I don't know when we're playing again, but it's not soon enough. Where will people see me next? Probably here. It'll either be for more Beowulf or for more of this, but we haven't set the dates yet, so we're not entirely sure.
That's right. And we will be doing that after next week. Next week is going to be very busy for yours truly. But yes, we'll doing that, and the amazing Triffity Mets will be helping with that as well. Great stuff, Tren. Really great stuff from the entire Infinity Beyond crew. What a pleasure to be able to DM them. Yeah, Chad, if you want to see more of this stuff, it just gets more crazy. Like, I love the idea that we're beyond Salvation now, Institute of 12. It's gonna get nuts, so you'll want to be there with us. Thank you, and can we get some love for the amazing members of Infinity and Beyond? Thank you to Trent Sparks, to Marie Bilodeau, to Brandon O'Brien, to Jennifer Brozek, and to John Helfers. John, great season for the Packers, but you definitely got to feel good about that.
Yep. There's next year, and next year is going to be just even more crazy.
Absolutely.
So, yep.
Good stuff, everybody, and King Citadel group. I will see you folks soon. Bye for now.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Yeah, big fan of this stuff. I mean, you all know, if you've read any of my work, or if you've watched me at all, I really like political intrigue stuff. I like political intrigue stuff too, where there is a sense that some people are trying to play it. Yeah, some people try to play political stuff for power, but there's also a degree of it which is for power for either constructive purpose or disagreement about what the right thing to do is, not because like what's the right thing to get the most power, but like whether people can agree on doing something to benefit others. And there can be disagreements about what the best way is to do that. And so there are elements of that are going to come into play, especially when you get some backstory stuff. I didn't even mention, I forgot to mention to Brandon about Tanith de Fiarlan, the whole House of Shadow stuff. I forgot to mention that too. So that was another thing that happened today. A lot going on. But that too is going to be something else that is, gonna be connected to stuff as we go forward into My Undying Heart. So this is season 4, and season 4 is when things get really crazy. So it's good stuff. Anyway, if you folks enjoyed it as much as I did, I hope you will follow the channel. I hope you will check out our YouTube with the !ArvTube. And for those of you who are watching over on YouTube, I saw a couple of comments over there. Thank you so much. Please consider subscribing to that YouTube channel, because it costs you nothing to do that, but it really helps us out. And you can get access to all of the VODs, and this is day 49. So next time is going to be day 50 of D&D with Infinity and Beyond. But as I said to everyone else, like 18 months to get 11 levels is pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about that speed. If we end up taking 3 years to do a level 1 to 20 campaign, I'll take that. I think that's pretty good pace. So yeah, so you can see all of those past things plus other campaigns that we've done on this channel over on that YouTube channel. And it would be lovely if you could do that and spread the word. !ArvCord is our Discord. I know, right, Critwitch? !ArvCord is our Discord channel where you can hang out with the Arvanauts in between streams, and you should totally do that because they are awesome people. !ArvTreon is the !ArvTweets. I'll get to the ArvTreon in a minute. !ArvTweets is my Twitter. Please follow me over there. !ArvSky is my Blue Sky. Please make sure you follow me over there as well. That would be much appreciated. And if you have not already done so, you can check out the website for this, which is arvaneleron.com. Now, financially, !ArvShop is the merchandise area. You can get stuff which reps this. It's too cold in here for me to take the shirt down. I mean, it's not cold, but it's very cold outside. So I don't want to, it is January after all. So Infinity and Beyond, you can see right there. We got the Infinity and Beyond shirt going on. Yes, so you can get lots of different swag for the channel, which supports the channel and also looks good on you. Perfect for birthday gifts and the like. So that's !ArvShop. The Patreon is !ArvTreon, which is sitting right there. That Patreon is really the financial backbone of the channel. We're really trying to build that back up. You can get some cool stuff for yourself, like character backgrounds and epic poems and stuff like that written for you. as well as move the channel towards various channel goals. So please consider supporting us there. You can also get inspirations to help our players, which is going to come into play, no doubt, with some of the future campaigns we've got going on, future sessions, both there, and you can get inspirations from subbing to the channel, where you can get those custom sub badges and emotes as well. So those things do not overlap for the most part, and both of those things are helpful if you can support us on both of them. Exclamation Point Icarus is my graphic novel from Athos Arts. Exclamation Point Library is my Tales and Tomes from the Forbidden Library. That's my 5e adventure and sourcebook from Alligator Alley Entertainment. And once again, a reminder that we, on Friday the 26th, will be having a live Dungeons & Dragons event on stage in the Klein Memorial Auditorium in front of a live audience. I am very excited to be joined by the 5 players that we have there: C.S.E. Cooney, Carlos Hernandez, Zach Clay, Brandon Crilly, and Adam Petrosino in front of that audience. Doors open at 5 p.m. Eastern, and then the event itself will start at 6 p.m. Eastern. We even have some stores in the lobby that will be selling some gaming and book stuff, merchandise and everything, so you should definitely stop by for that. If you are not in the U.S. Northeast and cannot make that, you can definitely make the live stream. I'm going to be trying to live stream it on this channel, and I will also be able, of course, to stream it. You'll be able to get the stream via the Klein's webpage as well. So again, it's free to attend that event, so it's definitely something which is worth checking out if you possibly can do that. So that's exclamation point Klein 2 for that. And exclamation point Library is that library, Tales and Tomes, the Forbidden Library. I am running the second adventure from that group called Return to the Forbidden Library. That is what I will be running, the sequel to last year's event at the Klein, at this event. So I hope you folks will stop by for that. Exclamation point Klein 2 for that, and Library for Tales and Tomes. Exclamation point Greyshade is my Grey Assassin trilogy. Greyshade and Renegade, first 2 books already out. You can buy those now. You can buy the audiobook of Greyshade, done by the amazing Trent Sparks. Also, you can get that right now. You can also pre-order the tabletop role-playing game of Greyshade, which, as Brandon just told you, is going to be going into play test soon. That is going to be coming out at the end of the year, so definitely you want to pre-order that now. Pre-orders are love, pre-orders are life, as Prince Justin always likes to say. And you can also pre-order Heretic, the final book. See, great minds think alike, Prince Justin. Heretic, the final book in the Grey Assassin trilogy. I am working on that as we speak, and that will be available in the summer of this year. So all of that stuff is happening over using that library link. And finally, exclamation point BLM, Black Lives Matter. Important to affirm and assert the significance and importance of Black lives. Exclamation point Help Now, which is the World Health Organization page on suicide prevention. Important to reach out to others when you need help, and reach out to others when they need help as well. And exclamation point Ukraine, Ukraine, to help the fine people of Ukraine as they fight back against an illegal and illegitimate war with bravery and courage, and send the message that we will do so for others in that situation in the future. We are going to do a raid today, and so the raid is very simple. It works like this. If you are a sub, if you are not a sub, sorry, you're going to do this. The Arvanauts have landed, followed by Twitch raid. If you are a sub, we are going to do this, which is Arvany Hype, the Arvanauts have landed, and then you Arvany Roar, Arvany Witch, Arvany Woe, Arvany Smug, Arvany Love, Arvany Blown, Arvany Crit Hit, Arvany Ack, Arvany, all the Arvanys. When you are brought over automatically to the place that we're going to do the raid, it helps the raid, the channel that we're raiding, it helps us, so please consider jumping on board with that raid if you can. I will be off on Sunday and Monday. I will be back on Tuesday playing some Dungeon Siege, and as a reminder, we have this next game, so please get your vote in for that. I'm going to be playing that game a week from Tuesday, so you'll definitely want to get your vote in there. Right now, I think we are looking at... We've got 3 votes for Chance of Senar, 2 votes for Metal Gear Solid 2. That's now 2 votes for that, and 2 votes for Champions of Kryn. That's the gold box game for D&D. So it's anyone's game, basically. Any one of those 3 could easily win it. So Chance of Senar 4, 2, and 2. So yeah, anyone can win that. Definitely get that vote in terms of what you would like to see me play a week from this Tuesday. And then I will be over on GOG's Twitch channel for D&D with GOG Ghosts of Saltmarsh. And then Wednesday, the premiere of Community D&D with the Shadow Crew with Waterdeep Dragon Heist. You will definitely want to be here for that. That's happening 9 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday, this coming Wednesday. Thursday, I will be on with some D&D with viewers, and I think I may have someone familiar to this channel live and in person here. And then on Friday, we will have that event at the Klein Theater, which I'm going to be live streaming. Saturday, Expedition from the Mysterious Peaks. So we got a lot of stuff there. Hey, what's up, Karen? And hope you're having a good weekend as well. So it's going to be awesome. awesome. You'll want to be here for all of those things over the course of the next week. A lot of content coming your way. I want to thank everyone who made this an awesome stream tonight. Thank you to my wonderful mods, Dragon Spear, Drew the Damager, Prince Justin, Shadow Mage, Triffity Mats, and the Rising Tides, the best mods in the business. Thank you to my wonderful Patreon supporters and subscribers, Dragon, Drew, Prince Justin, Shadow Mage, Triffity Mats, Crit Twitch, Radio Johnny Panda, and Trendane. Thank you, thank you. And thank you to my wonderful viewers, Big Boss, Jagtris, Kiernan, Marie Bilodeau, Mark, Nonstop, Nuri, Sleeping Beauty, Slider, and William. Thank you so much to all those wonderful people. And a special thanks tonight to my wonderful Infinity and Beyond crew of Tren, of Marie, of Brandon, of Jen, and of John. Thanks to being amazing, awesome people. I will see you folks on Tuesday. Until then, everyone, please have a couple of good days and a relaxed one. Stick around for the raid, and I will see you folks back here very soon in just a couple of days. Raid after the video. Stick around for that, and thanks, everybody. As always, much love, and everyone, please be good to each other. Have a good day. Most folks in Eberron live their lives hoping to survive and protect the ones they care about the most. A few do that and more, trying to help those around them, even the ones they don't know. But only one group does all that when no one else can. The King's Citadel. The ones who do the job no one else can do. Elarion, the shield. A star-forged Aegis whose strength lies in their shield, their armor, and their will to keep the Citadel and its mission safe. Merime, the sword. A Kalashtar bard whose dreams have grown more troubled, the sight of her future grown more dim, but whose skill in battle, wisdom in counsel, and love for her sister and the Citadel has grown even stronger. Tantan, the brain. A dragon-marked human artificer whose jovial demeanor conceals a deep curiosity, razor-sharp intellect, and long memory, with knowledge of what he did for the last war, and what he can or must do for the next one. Nisiana, the heart. A dragon-marked halfling healer whose love for her sister is matched only by her desire to help and heal the members of the Citadel, even as the threats they face grow stronger and stranger, and even if she herself can't know where the next path might lead. Rowan, the wild card. A human wild magic sorcerer who's played a dangerous game for most of his life. Now he's gone all in to save his friends. But will he have the chips to pay if his bet is called? These 5 elite operatives came together to aid the salvage outpost of Salvation, where the Grey hovers nearby, a threat and a promise. With the Oracle of War, they found an artifact powerful enough to end a war, or begin one. They traveled to Sharn, City of Towers, and started to unravel the Oracle's mysteries while stopping assassination attempts from the Emerald Claw and the Nation of Thrain. They found Sky Blue, the daring thief somehow tied into the ancient draconic prophecy, and stopped the Claw operative Erulin Karnak before traveling back to Salvation and into the Grey to take down the repurposed Conclave outpost, repel a war-forged invasion, and take the fight to the Lord of Blade's secret fortress, Razorcrag. They found an elemental forge of great power and rescued both hostages from Salvation and the maker of the Oracle of War himself. But the cost, and Braelish soldiers and the mighty floating fortress Argoth, taken by the Lord of Blades himself, was high. Now the King's Citadel must widen their world, traveling to the neighboring countries of Karnath, Thrain, and beyond. They've saved Salvation, navigated Sharn, and neutralized Razorcrag. But can they learn the Oracle's secrets, unmask the Emerald Claw, and stop a war? Only if they remember that in the end all they have is each other and the King's Citadel. Long live the King. Welcome to Eberron. Welcome to Corvair. Welcome to the world beyond Salvation.